How do you make your chicken like that, Mom?
Hair pulling.
Yep.
But no, it is good. Okay, let's do this. Back into hell's pit.
So this is a book by James Scott. It's an excellent book, by the way, called Seeing Like a State. And he's trying to explain to us how bureaucracies work, how governments function. And for him, governments actually create more problems than they solve. Why? Well, he lists 4 reasons. The first is that all they care about is the administrative ordering of nature and society. So another way of saying this is a bureaucracy is a machine, it's a hierarchy, it's static, it's mechanical. But society is like a forest, it's diverse, it's an ecosystem, it's organic. For a state to exist, it must turn the forest into a machine like itself. So it destroys diversity, it destroys spontaneity, it destroys imagination, okay? All right, so let's use an example of this, all right? So my question to you is like, who are you? Can you tell us who are you? Like who are you as a person? Tell us who you are as a person. Yeah, just use 1 or 2 minutes to introduce yourself. Who are you as a person?
Just want to play with the medical equipment. Stop by Blotto's this weekend for our shoot 'em up sale. Blotto's, we make daily habits
and
fun.
I came to this school in 2024 last year, and
Okay, wrong. Okay, that's not the correct answer. The right answer is you're a teenage boy. Okay, that's the correct answer. All right, you believe that you are an individual with individual aspirations, ambitions, with a past, with a history. The state doesn't care. The state needs to classify you in a way that can use you, okay? You're a teenage boy, which means like 2 years' time, you can be employed in a factory, or I can send you to war. Okay, that's all I care about. Okay, I don't care about your name, I don't care about who you are, I don't care who your parents are, I don't care about your past, I don't care what you like. All I care about is the fact that you are a teenage boy, and therefore I can exploit you for labor. Okay, that's how states think. Okay, so the bureaucratization of society. Second is the idea of high Marxist ideology. So because the state is a monopoly, the bureaucracy is a monopoly, it becomes arrogant, it has hubris, it's overconfident. And it wants to
Cops
impose
everywhere, dude.
its ideology on everyone else. It believes that through its own planning, it can achieve paradise. Okay? So it becomes authoritarian, meaning it refuses to listen to criticism, to feedback, to questions. It is not open to debate. It imposes its will on people, okay? Which creates a weak civil society. And if as an organization you're not getting feedback, you're not allowing for openness, then you will wither and die. Okay? And that's why states, governments will always fail in the end. Okay, so he uses 2 examples. The first example is what happened in the late 19th century Germany. So in Germany, there's lots of forests. And the state is thinking of ways, how can we best monetize the resource of the forest? Well, there's certain trees that you can cut down for lumber, right? The problem is that in a forest, most space is occupied by useless shrubs or greenery or trees. Okay? So their bright idea is, you know what? Here's a simple solution. We'll burn down the forest and just plant trees that we can harvest for lumber. Right? Brilliant. That's a brilliant use of space. It's more efficient. The problem, though, is that when you do that, the trees are susceptible to disease, to weather changes. A forest is resilient because it's diverse. Okay? So this is what Scott
What's
says.
going on, ladies?
Monocultures are, as a rule, more fragile and hence more vulnerable to the stress of disease
Hey,
and
do we need to
weather
take a
than
break?
polycultures are.
Yeah,
Any
we need to
unmanaged
take a
forest
break, I
may experience
guess.
stress from
Yeah,
storms,
let's
disease,
all it's
drought,
just like
fragile
this.
soil,
Yep,
or
let's
severe
all
cold.
just
A
relax,
diverse,
take a break.
complex forest, however, with its many
Let's all
species
go breathe
of
before,
trees, its full
to make us
complement of
realize
birds,
it's
insects,
easier
and
to
mammals
be
is far
nice
more
and play
resilient,
together.
far more able to withstand and
Just
recover
take a
from such
break.
injuries than pure stands.
Few 100 million
So
fucking years
nature has
in cold
diversity because
storage.
it allows for
And then
resilience.
maybe we'll remember
Okay?
it's
Some
better
part
to
of the
play
forest can
together.
die, but the rest of the forest will recover
What?
from
I'm
anything,
serious,
whether it's
dude.
disease or drought or weather. Okay?
Put you
And
in
we
a
humans are
single
the same
player
way.
game for a few
If
hundred
you let
million
humans
years.
do what they
See how
want,
you like it.
we are
Captain
resilient. So
Zod.
some communities might die off, but other communities will adapt. The problem with the state, with government, is that it refuses, it sees diversity as an enemy. Okay, so if there's a natural disaster, it's very likely that a lot more people die off than otherwise, okay? Another example is forced communism in Tanzania. Okay, so it's a top-down system. And their idea is, okay, these farmers have their little small farms and they grow their crops, but that's not efficient. What if we just got all the farmers together and had coffee? And they all,
Well, they do
had
start
coffee
smack. Yep.
or wheat or whatever. And then we can sell this to other countries. Okay? And of course, you can imagine that this will lead to starvation because it's the same principle as the forest. If there's a weather crisis or if there's a disease, then all your crops die off and then your people die off. Okay? What these planners carried in their mind's eye was a certain aesthetic, what one might call a visual codification of modern rural production and community life, okay? So the problem with bureaucrats is they have no imagination. Everything to them has to be mapped out. They like things that can be mapped out, that can be a blueprint, okay? They like to brag about these things because that's how they see the world. But real world, nature requires diversity, it requires organic. Okay? All right, so he gives examples of how the state transforms society. So before, what would happen is that people would just come together and they would organize their communities according to their needs. Okay, it's a bottom-up process, but the state wants to create permanent cities where people are just in one place all the time, right? That's why you have cities. Before, what's natural is just for people to live on small farms and share stuff with other people, to trade with each other. The problem with this is the state cannot tax you. So what the state does is it brings you to cities, makes you work in a factory so it can tax you. Okay? The point of giving you a wage is so it can tax you, to exploit you. Property. Before, it was very common for people to share property together. Okay? Now, it's all owned and controlled by the state. Resources are the same thing. Before, people just used resources according to their needs. But now the state wants to centralize these resources.
Yeah, if they charge you
Okay, so it can
property tax, that
and
means
exploit
the
people
state still
properly.
owns it, dude.
Okay, so that's what a state bureaucracy does. So
That
what are the
right?
consequences
Fundamental. The
of
state
the
still owns it, dude. You have to
over-bureaucratization
pay
of
property
society?
tax. Why even
Well,
pretend
what's
in the
happening
state?
in
You're just
America
paying a lease.
is that while
That's all, and
consumer
they're
goods like cars,
letting you
clothing,
think you
and
own
cell
it.
phones are going down,
You're just
what's
the
going
leaser.
up
Yep.
are hospital services, schooling, okay, housing.
You have a
Why? Because
minimum
these are
payment on that
monopolies
land
controlled
that
by
if you can't
bureaucrats.
make, it will be taken away
Right?
from you, dude.
So what's
It means you
happening
don't
is
fucking
with the
own it.
over-bureaucratization of society, it's almost impossible for middle-class people, ordinary people, to have a good life now. Okay? Here's another really interesting chart. The black shows you the growth in the stock market. Okay?
I'm about to kill these drug dealers.
And
too.
you think, wow, this is a good thing. Okay? The problem is, first of all, only 10% of people in the United States control most of the stocks, over 90% of the stocks. The other issue is this. The other issue is, if you look at prices, yeah, it's gone up. But if you look at stocks
No, it's not for everybody.
as a units of gold, if you use gold to buy stocks, guess what? The price of stocks have gone down. That's a blue, okay? If you use money to buy stocks, it goes up. But if you use gold to buy stocks, it goes down. What this is telling us, okay, very simple, is we are living in a lie. All this wealth generation, it's all a lie. It's not real. We just think it's real. We're living in a fairyland created by bureaucrats to fool us to believe that we are prosperous. Okay, does that make sense? The amount of gold that you can buy with stocks has gone down.
Are they still?
Okay? Okay, so the blue is the gold, the black is money. The money is worthless. Okay? All right. Another problem that bureaucracy has created is people don't want to work anymore. So in America, this is called quiet quitting. In China, it's called teng ping or bai lan. Okay? Lying flat, let it rot. People don't want to work anymore. Why? Because it's pointless to work in a bureaucracy, right? Leaders don't care. The organization doesn't need you. You are alienated. You are told what to do, and you cannot negotiate. You cannot rise within the bureaucracy. You're being asked to work too much. You feel as though you're just a machine. Okay? And so the way you rebel is lying flat, okay, or quiet quitting. Okay? So your over-bureaucratization of society means that people now have become more lazy, more complacent, more indifferent. And what this also means is that democracy is declining because people's voice, people's power is declining, okay? So you can see that people feel as though democracy is in the decline. In fact, experts
Take a break.
estimate that democracy,
yes,
the capacity
you
for
really
people
can't wear
to
those
participate in
shoes.
politics, the capacity for people to influence politics has declined rapidly these past 10 years, okay? So we are living in a world that is becoming more and more bureaucratic, and it's killing us, okay? All right, questions?
Don't get booked, player.
So as you say, we now live in a very corrupt world.
We live in a bureaucratic world.
Yeah, but so I can't really see the future of no matter it's the mankind or like, are there any good side of the current world?
Okay. What are good things about the current world? Well, the good side is that because things have become so corrupt, people now are forced to think for themselves, right? Before, you could just trust your teacher, you could just trust your parent, you could just trust authority figures. But now you see them for the bureaucrats that they are, and so now you're forced to think for yourself, and so you're now forced to educate yourself. You're now forced to explore different opinions. So people's minds are opening, and that I think is a very good thing in today's world. Okay? Any more questions?
So will it help if we cancel most of the managers and just like keep one or two of them? Like.
Yeah, okay. So that's a really good question, okay? If this is a problem, why not just get rid of the managers? And the answer is they have all the power. Okay? They would much rather send you to war and kill you off than to lose their jobs. Okay, so going back to the example of Stratford University, their mentality is, how do I maintain my privilege? They don't care about society. All they care about is maintaining their privilege. Right?
Their
so
position.
they are bankrupt society, and then when society becomes
That's
bankrupt,
natural,
they
dude.
expect
Natural
society
survival instinct.
to still continue to pay
Come
them
on,
off.
guys. That's insane.
So these are parasites, and there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah?
As we just said, there are less teacher and less professor, or like most people would choose to quiet quitting. Then who are they going to control if there's less people to work for them?
You know, okay, that's a really good question. The problem is they don't think like that. They don't think about how efficient is my organization. They don't think about like, am I going to have a job in the next 5 years? All they care about is maintaining the position right here and now. Okay? The way they do that is they hire their friends or people like them into other management positions. So they become like a cabal or a network unto themselves. And for them, they become parasites. And what parasites want to do is they want to feed off the host. And the host dies, what's going to happen? They will switch to another host. Right? Why? Because they're all part of larger networks as well. So that's how they think. They're thinking, well, you know, as long as society survives, I will continue to have a job. Okay? So maybe this university goes bankrupt, but there's another university I can go to and exploit. And you know what? It works. Okay? Because people at the top protect each other. Right? It doesn't make sense. They don't care about this host, they don't care about this organization. They don't care if it goes bankrupt because they can always move on to another
it's about
organization
them.
to bankrupt. Okay? What matters is to maintain their patronage, their political networks. So they all help each other. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Any more questions?
Professional classes.
Is there any possible to stop or even reverse this cooperating system?
Yeah. I keep on explaining this, okay? They are the ones in power. And so what has to happen is all of society has to collapse before society can regenerate, before society can rejuvenate. Okay? But before society can collapse, they have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. Okay? So for example, they can create civil wars where the left and the right fight each other and they're left alone. Or they can use AI to control you, right? AI is God, guys. Listen to God. Okay? Or they can fake an alien invasion. Okay? Or they can send you to war. They can start all these pointless wars. Okay? But whatever it takes in order to maintain their privilege and their power, that's their mentality. And that's how they got to where they are. Okay? And that's how the elite think.
Hey.
Any more questions, guys?
I can't.
Okay, Mr. Zhang, my question is, so I'm a
Sydney,
12th
stop.
grader,
Hey,
so
stop. Would
if
you
you
start
are in my shoe, like
going on
if you are
like that?
in
That's a
12th
good
grader
time to
in
stop what
nowadays,
you're doing.
what would you do? Like, are you still going to
That's
pursue forward in career education and higher education, or will you going to just drop out?
Yeah. Okay. That is a great question. So you guys are about to go to university, and as I told you in this class, the university is a complete ripoff. Okay? All you're doing is you're paying for the nice salaries and perks of these administrators at university. You're not really paying for the professors. All right? You're paying for the administrators to have their nice lives. And so what I would do is maybe not go to university. What I would do is focus on education, on learning, by reading a lot of books, by asking a lot of questions and doing my own research, by learning real skills.
Okay,
So,
Frank.
That's
like
it.
this,
Get away
what
from
they do
each
is
other.
It's just too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Everything. I can't either.
Means that
Other room.
you just
Sydney,
lose.
you go to one room.
Maybe
Isabel,
before,
you
like,
go to
20
another.
years ago, it was good to go to
You guys
university
pick
because
too
you want to
much.
become a manager.
I know. I
But
get it.
now,
Or
all the
actually,
slots
dude, I just started
have been
playing. Okay.
taken up by
Hold
the
on.
elite
I'll
and the
take you guys
children.
outside.
There's no space for
Let me
you.
park.
So what you can do in
Crap.
this
Okay.
context
Hold on.
is to really start educating
Let me go
yourself
save.
in
But
real
for now, go
knowledge.
to separate rooms.
Yeah.
I just
Right?
can't keep
Reading
going.
books,
Let this podcast end. Oh man, I
meeting
gotta
lots
take
of
my
different
girl out
people,
on a date.
exploring the world. Okay?
Let me take my
Like,
girl out on a
really
date, people.
develop real knowledge.
Okay.
That's the best solution. Right? Any more questions?
That's all you got?
Doesn't matter to the major.
No, it does not matter the major. It's all a scam.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up?
Okay? It's all a scam.
Okay, let's go.
All right. At
It's
least
all
I
a
don't gotta
scam.
take her
Okay? Doesn't
dancing
matter what
this
university you
time.
go to, liberal arts, Ivy League.
Did I tell you
It's
that?
all a scam. Doesn't matter what your major is.
Makes you take her
Economics,
dancing, and it's
technology, humanities,
yes.
computer science. It's all a scam. Okay? The system exists.
And like, it's
so
not a
that
freebie.
the
You actually have to like do it.
administrators
Yeah.
can continue to feed off the system. All right?
Oh no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where did I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump or the checkout.
That makes me happy. Well, we should take it. Yeah.
I thought Mom made real dumplings.
Those are wontons.
Your chicken and dumplings?
No, he's talking about Asian.
Oh, okay.
That was fine and
My bad.
smooth.
My bad.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take me home, baby? I am completely worthless, don't you think?
Oh, why?
Do you make them? I don't know.
Tide, which I feel like is a solid. It's only going to rain today because it's Southern California. So, but it's. We go from like hey, it's like 90 degrees.
This week. No. I'm making this right now.
CJ, it is so me.
I had to catch up with my girlfriend. No, I did. I hadn't been in town for a while. They chased me out of town, so I had to sneak back in. I told you I'm harvesting drug dealers for their money and turning it into real estate real good. So I'm taking their profits and actually trying to do something with the drug money that can help the community. But I had to sneak in down low because they chased me out of the cops. Crooked cop chased me out of town. So, but my girlfriend knew I was in town. She kept blowing up my phone, getting mad at me.
Unless you're into those weird, I would love to.
So I just had to go pick her out to eat.
You want to have some coffee?
Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it.
She does.
But
She calls you up and says, "What do you think I am?"
Those computers that are everything is immersed in some kind of creepy liquid.
I'm a real human being. I'm a human being. I've got feelings.
Just have a weird water computer. We got water coolers and all that other stuff, but I don't know. There's something about
And I was like, "What?"
Suspending my computer in some kind of strange oil, some kind of weird tank, some sort of sensory deprivation experiment for computers. That always seems kind of cool. But, everyone says that when you do that, it actually, is super bad for the components, and it's like it's really neat, but only lunatics need to do it, and all of that. So it's not. It's not actually the cool. It's not actually as cool as it initially seems because you're dealing with a bunch of other stuff. But I have been thinking more about fan curves and noise out of the computer and all of that stuff. Fan control, which is the piece of software that a lot of people use to control the fans on their computer and have them automatically spin up when things get hot. And like if you want more control over it than your BIOS does already, you can get in there and mess with it. But they've gone through like the last couple of months, like the driver that they use, much like a lot of modern video games, the driver that they were using to pull the sensor information from temperatures and all of that stuff. Windows has decided to start flagging it as
this is how I want to do it.
Unsafe. With its kind of antivirus kind of, it's not necessarily a virus, but it is like a Ring 0 driver. So it's sort of one of those things where if that
now every little bump in my body I'm super paranoid of and half hurting myself scratching at it.
You would have a bunch of bad access to the computer.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, I had a little pimple in the back of my neck. I think it's just a hair or something, but yeah, I keep squeezing it, scratching at it.
Kind of pull that sensor data and
it could be a fucking bug.
That has been a bumpy ride
ticks
for
are
me
no
over
joke,
here,
bro.
where that stuff is just basically completely not worked to sometimes working, and then will die after a couple of hours, and I have to reboot to get the sensors back, and just a lot of crazy stuff around fan information. But it's right now, over the last couple of days here, the last version or two seems to have stabilized that. So to be quieter. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place, this computer, by default, if I'm not running any kind of fan control software, the minute I start a download, especially from Steam, because the Steam downloads are fast, I guess,
Girl, what up, though? What's up, sis? This is a good out for this. Back off, Moikito.
This time would be different. This time, Lucius Cornelius Sulla had a plan. Frustrated by the rapid reversal of the laws he had carried through under the threat of armed force during his first stint at the top of Roman politics in 88, Sulla had returned from his military campaign in the east to win a civil war and seize the state for himself in 82. Now, he would aspire not to the position of consul, the typical chief magistrate of Rome, but instead would become the first dictator in over 100 years and embark on a plan to remake Rome by rapidly fracturing resistance to his reactionary political program. Sulla had come to believe that Rome was too far gone to be saved by constitutional means, that pesky details, such as citizens' rights to have a say in who their leaders were, to have fair trials, and to be protected by their tribunician representatives, were standing in the way of his plan to reforge the Roman state, to more resemble what he believed had been the foundation of its past successes. According to Sulla, Rome would be great again, even if thousands of people had to die, and its most cherished traditions had to be discarded to achieve his vision. Sulla's first taste of absolute power in 88 had seen him disregard constitutional norms to massacre political opponents, but the setbacks his party faced in the intervening years, and the inevitable violent counter-reaction from his foes, had convinced Sulla that, if anything, he had been too lenient. Now, with his dominance of the state assured and unchallenged, Sulla resolved to cut a bloody swath through Rome as he aimed to permanently cripple the popular Marian party that had opposed his agenda. But Sulla knew better than to simply announce that he would be dismantling Roman civic protections and rights in one fell swoop. Instead, he resolved to break the opposition to his unprecedented power grab piece by piece, by dividing and conquering, assuring senators and the public alike that they had nothing to fear. It was only the unsavory troublemakers he was after. Never mind that his definition of a troublemaker continued to expand. Understanding the radical and potentially unpopular nature of his program, Sulla chose as his first victims those who he believed no Roman would ever defend. The Samnites, an Italian people with a distinct language and culture that had only recently been folded into the fabric of the Republic with citizenship rights. The Samnites made for the perfect trial balloon because of their long history of enmity with the Republic. Between 343 and 290 BCE, 3 wars had been fought between Rome and confederations of Samnite cities. Despite many setbacks, the conflicts ended in victory for the legions, and with Samnium being absorbed into Rome's alliance system, though abuses and questions of citizenship rights led to the Samnites joining the Italian revolt of the Social War in 91. This rebellion was in many ways the first Roman civil war, and it allowed Sulla to rise to prominence as the most able Roman commander of his generation. Though the Republic was able to claim victory as the uprising fizzled out by 88, Rome had brought the rebels back to the table by granting many of the civic rights that they had demanded, and the Samnites were among those that received Roman citizenship. In the political upheavals of the following years, however, the Samnite communities had aligned behind the Marian faction that promised greater privileges and protection for non-Latin Italians, meaning that they were among the most fervent supporters of the Populari regime that Sulla sought to overthrow. They made up a significant portion of the forces that Sulla defeated at the Battle of the
Alright, babies, let's go outside.
Sulla had won many Roman and Italian
No,
elites over his
Scout
side
safe,
during the
let's go
Civil
outside.
War
Stop
by
it, I tried
playing
to
the
tell
part
you.
of the cool, level-headed pragmatist.
Yep.
But now
You
that
got
victory was assured,
no, not
he
your new
unveiled his
shoes.
true plans and ordered the execution of over
No, not the
3,000
new shoes.
prisoners of Samnite origin in a
I know,
brutal
but you don't want to
display
get in hurt.
charged with overt political
Wait till you go
symbolism.
somewhere with mom.
As he had issued orders to make no prisoners, many of them were cut to pieces on the field, while the remainder, said to be about 3,000 or 4,000 men, who threw down their arms, were led off to the Villa Publica in the Campus Martius, and there shut in. 3 days after, soldiers were sent in, who massacred the
Trying to
whole.
get Trump to be
And when
Sulla.
Sulla drew up his conscription list, he did
So they
not
can get their
rest
Caesar. They're
satisfied
trying to
until
get-
he had destroyed, or
Because they
driven
believe
from
Caesar is the
Italy, a
Antichrist, I
Roman
guess,
or a
or maybe
Samnite
not
king.
even the
To
Catholics want
those
their
who
king.
reproached
No,
him
they
for
want.
his animosity,
I mean,
he
he doesn't
replied
necessarily
that
have
he
to
had
be the
learned by
Antichrist, though.
experience
That's probably
that
not
not a
what works.
single Roman could rest
Yeah,
in
you won't
peace
know he's the bad
so
guy,
long
dude.
as any
Isn't
of the
that how
Samnites
it?
survived.
That's how it
Thus,
was
their
taught in the
cities have
hill,
now
dude.
dwindled into
You
villages.
gotta be careful, because, yeah, you won't
It
know
is
who's the
hard to
bad guy.
imagine the
That's the
scale of the
temptation, bro.
slaughter, or how
Right?
long and drawn out such a horrific event must have
Well,
been in the ancient world. But
I
we
could be
cannot
wrong.
overlook that Sulla
Maybe
had
he'll
ordered
be
the
like
deaths of men with citizenship rights,
maybe it'll be
and that
easy.
they
He'll
were
be against
executed
education.
within
That's what I
1
mean.
to
This will
3
be
days
easy. If like
after the
he's against
conclusion of the battle,
education for kids, like
depending
this will
on
be
the
fucking
sources we
easy.
follow.
But
No
we all
case
thought
can
he'd
be
be
made
for
that they
teaching
presented
like,
a military
but that
danger,
doesn't mean teaching
and
kids how
ancient
to read and
practice
write
in
is
similar
bad, dude.
circumstances was to
That's him
execute
using the
leaders only,
truth to
while
his
sparing
own
the rank
end.
and file.
But
Furthermore, the
them
setting
then
of the
saying,
massacre
well, no,
was
no,
also
dude, that's
noteworthy,
why he's going to
as
use
this
it, because
all
it is
occurred
right.
within
It
a
is
sacred
true. That's
building
why
where
he's going
Roman
to use it,
ambassadors
dude.
typically received foreign
Him
emissaries.
using it
It
doesn't
was a
make it
building
bad,
literally
right?
founded on the good
When
faith
somebody
and
uses
honesty
fire in a
of the
bad
Roman
way, that
people,
doesn't make
and the
fire bad,
prisoners
bro.
must surely have felt that this
Fire
was the safest
bad! Fire,
place in the
no,
city.
dude.
Sulla's
The
barbarism
dude with
was
the
an indicator
flamethrower
that his
bad.
word was now the law, and it was subject to
The dude with
change
the
whenever
bomb
he
bad.
saw fit.
Not fire
The
bad,
opposition to Sulla's actions
Frankenstein.
here isn't mere
Not
modern
fire bad.
squeamishness on my part. Ancient sources
Yeah, you could
bear
argue is
filed
fire not
praise
a
as
simple
well.
machine
However,
with
the end
simple
of the fighting
rules?
was not also the end of
And
the
then when you
killing,
ignore those
for
rules
even
is when
after peace
people
was
get
made,
hurt.
swords were drawn, and punishment was inflicted upon those who had
Are you
surrendered
ready,
voluntarily.
ladies?
The slaughter of
Lizzie, you
more
need to
than
put your hair up?
70,000
You
men
okay?
by Sulla at
Looks like
Sacriportus
it's all
and
in
the
your
Colline
face.
Gate was a lesser crime, for it was what one expects in war.
Okay.
But he ordered 4,000
It
unarmed
was a conscious
citizens who had
decision
been
of
surrendered to be
I get it.
slain
Of
in the Villa
control
Publica.
over your avatar.
Do
I get
not
it.
all these
I feel you, bro.
4,000 slain in peace really outnumber those other 70,000? Though the exact
Oh,
timeline
really?
is murky,
We'll
we
see.
are
Don't
told
try to
of yet
manipulate me.
another
It doesn't
Samnite
work. I'm your
massacre,
father.
this one even more chilling,
Yeah.
as it was designed to
So
intimidate
we'll
the
see.
Senate
You guys are
and
going to
any
play.
Marian sympathizers
You are going to
left in the
ride
city.
scooters.
Sulla summoned the Senate to
You're
a
just going to
meeting
enjoy
outside
being
the Pomerium,
outside.
where he would demonstrate just how
Yeah.
dramatically the
You
balance
don't
of power
require
be
an
shifted,
adult to
and
lead
reveal
you in a
more of
guided
his murderous
recreational
plans.
activity.
When, therefore, Sulla learned this, and
Yeah.
also that the greater part of the enemy had been
What do you think
destroyed,
this is? The Hunger
he
Games
came
does
to
want some M&Ms?
Antinomy at break of day. There, 3,000
Here,
of the
share.
inhabitants sent a
Share.
deputation to him
Yep.
to sue for mercy, and
For
he
what? Yeah.
promised them safety if they would do
Oh,
some mischief to the rest of his enemies before coming to him.
I gotta do
So
that.
they, trusting to his promise, attacked the rest of the people in the city, and many more were slain by one another's
What?
hands. However, the
What?
survivors of both parties
You sit
alike,
back.
to the number of 6,000, were collected by Sulla in the circus
There,
at
my
Rome,
microphone's
and
on.
then the Senate was summoned to
Not
him
too
to
many.
meet in the temple of Bellona.
Yep. Just even
And
them out.
at one and the same moment, he
Even them
himself
out.
began to speak in the Senate,
Be careful,
and
they'll melt
those
on you.
assigned to the task began to cut to pieces the 6,000 in the circus. The
They're
shrieks of
M&Ms, but
such a
they'll still
multitude,
melt.
who were being massacred in a narrow space, filled the air. Of course,
Oh, you punk
and the
asses. I'm
senators
trying
were
to walk
dumbfounded.
away.
But Sulla,
All these
with the calm
gang
and
members
unmoved
walking around in
countenance
front of
with
my
which
house.
he had begun to speak, ordered them to listen to his words and not concern themselves with what was going on outside, for it was only that some criminals were being admonished by his orders. This gave even the dullest Roman to understand that, in the matter of tyranny, there had been an exchange, but not a deliverance. Like the massacre at the Villa Publica, this too was a calculated gesture. You can only imagine the blood-curdling screams and howls of anguish emanating from the 6,000 victims as they were methodically
I just saved it
This
before I
slaughter
left.
was no small undertaking, and Sulla was demonstrating to the Senate
I don't
that
think
he
they can
had
hit me while I'm on my
hundreds, if
porch.
not thousands, of loyal
Holy
soldiers.
shit! Oh, okay, okay. Gonna be like that, huh?
It must have been absolutely
Oh,
horrifying to
okay.
listen to, and Sulla was
No, it's like
sending
you
a
ain't walking
message
away from me,
that
bro.
any senator
Okay.
who opposed his regime
But-
could expect a similar fate.
No, I'm.
However, ultimately,
I
he
can't remember if I had the
received
vest
legal
on, but no,
victory
they hurt me,
for his
dude.
brutal purges
Ouch.
through popular edict.
I better take
Either
my ass
circumventing the Senate
inside, I
because
guess.
they did not accede
All right.
quickly enough, or as a further
Wow.
effort to demonstrate how impotent the body now was. The man who
Well,
claimed to be fighting to
live and
restore
learn.
the primacy and authority of the Senate here denied that it had any
If you're a
authority
Hindu, it's a
over
diet.
him. If you're enjoying this
No.
video, please do us a favor by liking, commenting, and subscribing. We're a small channel,
It's not
and this is
here
the
that
only
knows
way
you
for the
die.
almighty
You try to
YouTube
do better
algorithm to
next
notice
time.
us.
Try to learn
Furthermore,
better.
you can help Tribunate become more sustainable by becoming a member for as little as 99 cents a month. Thank you for all of your support. Having sentenced thousands to death already, and observing no significant mobilization against him, Sulla then set his eyes on eliminating those that were closer to the heart of Roman power: senators, equestrians, and popular activists. The inability to demonstrate solidarity with Sulla's carefully selected enemies, or to think in truly radical terms, was the downfall of the Senate, and spelled doom for many of its members, as well as the other Romans now on the chopping block. These elites either did not know what was in store, or they thought by keeping their heads down they could evade Sulla's wrath. Cowed completely, Sulla's unprecedented position as a dictator with no limit on his time in office was legitimized, and he would now claim a mandate to reform the state using the extraordinary powers he had granted himself. Critically, this now included the ability to mark any citizen for death without trial. While his initial abuses had been against those from Italian communities with linguistic or cultural differences that made them outsiders to the Romans, and that had only recently gained protections, the incoming political purges were directed against those who were definitively and unambiguously Roman. But Sulla would not bloody his own hands with the deaths of these citizens. Instead, lists of individuals were posted in the forum, denoting those who were now no longer protected by the law. Potential assassins were promised a reward if they brought back his head, and the estate of the proscribed was then auctioned off. Furthermore, Sulla ensured legal protections for those who carried out his unofficial purges, decreeing that the death squads could not be prosecuted, and ensuring that no one would ever be able to bring charges by removing civic rights from the descendants of all the proscribed. Though the Latin term proscrire, translated as prescription, now unambiguously refers to the kill lists that Sulla and other Roman tyrants posted, it was originally most commonly associated with notices of a public auction where property could be sold to the highest bidder. This is notably what happened to the property of the condemned, so the use of this specific word underscores how devious Sulla's plot was. He was simply alerting the public that there would be an auction for a man's property, and that it would be fully legal to hunt him down and kill him to accelerate this. The mechanisms were entirely implicit, illustrating just how much thought and effort to cloak the murders under the law went into the prescriptions. These were not mere acts of impulsive retribution, but rather a deliberate and carefully constructed framework for political terror that relied on legal fictions and plausible deniability. Sulla also outplayed the Senate by gradually adding names to the lists with each passing day. Initially, it only included 80 names, all prominent members of the Marian faction. He knew that were he to name all those whose deaths he sought, then they might be able to combine their wealth, clientship bases, and political connections to resist his regime. Instead, he started with the most extreme, and the list grew in a piecemeal fashion. 2 days after the first list, another was posted containing 220 names. The following day, 220 additional names were added. So, senators and equestrians who were too afraid to stick up for colleagues and friends on day one found themselves added to the list later. Who knows how history may have turned out differently had more Romans recognized that the purges would not end with the Marian party, but would encompass all whom Sulla desired to destroy. For it would go beyond merely political opponents to include any man whose wealth Sulla or another in his inner circle coveted. Cicero's first prominent case involved the defense of a man whose father had been added to the list, simply so an associate of Sulla could buy his property at a steep discount. All told, thousands of Roman citizens would die at the hands of Sulla's executioners, some for their political affiliations, but many simply so that wealth could be consolidated and distributed by Sulla to his supporters to ensure loyalty to his unprecedented dictatorship. But we also must recognize that those caught up in the prescriptions were not the first to die. Sulla's tyrannical reign began in bloodshed, specifically targeted at outsiders within the Roman Republic, for whom the average Roman may have felt long-standing prejudices, or perhaps even personal enmity. Soon, those who had cheered the deaths of others, or who had maybe just stood silently by, found that Sulla had not been completely forthright in his ambitions, and that trusting a man with no scruples or principles beyond his own vengeful quest for dominance was a mistake. We would do well to remember that those who target civil rights and freedoms often do so by starting with edge cases and those that have been otherized, hoping that there will be less sympathy for those that are subversive or viewed as not truly part of the national community. But it doesn't stop there. It never has, and it never will. Keeping your head down is not a winning strategy. 2 men would defy Sulla's prescriptions, each in radically different ways. The renegade general Quintus Sertorius, perhaps the most militarily capable of the Marians, set up a republic in exile in Spain, attracting many Marian partisans to his cause, and forging an alliance with the local population that allowed his breakaway state to persist even after the death of Sulla, even defeating Pompey in the process. He was assassinated after nearly a decade as the leader of what he considered to be the true republic, and his embryonic state collapsed soon after. This was the resistance that surely occupied most of Sulla's thoughts. But it was another who would end up doing the most to destroy Sulla's legacy. A seemingly unimportant young noble named Gaius Julius Caesar had been added to the proscription lists for his refusal to divorce the daughter of a prominent Marian leader. Revealing the resolve that would later catapult him to the top of Roman politics, Caesar made it clear that no man would dictate to him how he was to treat his own wife, even if it meant making an enemy of the most powerful man in Rome. For weeks, Caesar lived as a fugitive until family connections were able to secure a pardon. Everyone knows that when Sulla had long held out against the most devoted and eminent men of his party who interceded for Caesar, and they obstinately persisted, he at last gave way and cried, either by divine inspiration or a shrewd forecast, "Have your way and take him, only bear in mind that the man you are so eager to save will one day deal the death blow to the cause of the aristocracy, which you have joined with me in upholding. For in this Caesar there is more than one Marius." Sulla was right. In the years after the dictator's death, Caesar would make his connection to Marius and his defiance of the unpopular Sulla the linchpin of his public persona as he rose to prominence in Rome. With the Populare Party searching for a standard-bearer after losing so many leading men during the proscriptions, Caesar was quickly able to emerge as a political force by trumpeting his consistent opposition to Sulla and his hated regime. Soon, Caesar and his allies would leverage popular anger to dismantle all the legal reforms Sulla had forced through at sword point. Sulla's overreach had made everything he feared inevitable. There are many ways to resist, and it doesn't matter which one you choose, so long as you choose one.
Hey, everybody, Birch. All right. Let's read this email. I read the first couple sentences of the email, and I'm like, oh, wow, it's crazy. So we'll see where this goes. It says, Dear Perch, I've listened to your show for a long time. I really appreciate your guidance and your views, and I'm hoping that you can help me. I am currently going through a divorce. I've been married for 3.5 years. 3.5 years. I've been married for 3.5 years. I'm getting a divorce. One of the things that brought us together was my comic book collection. My comic book collection spans several decades of comics. With the exception of 4, that's the number 4 issues, number 4. With the exception of 4 issues, I own the entire Amazing Spider-Man run. I do not have Amazing Fantasy, the big issue, but I have all but 4 of the issues of the entire Spider-Man run. This was how I met my girlfriend, who became my wife, and unfortunately, we have come to a separation. Okay. Here is my question. As a comic collector, as somebody who has been a retailer, I'm curious if you think this is a good deal. The basic terms in my divorce is that when I turn 50, when I turn 50, which is almost 25 years from now.
No, that's
okay,
the new,
so you're
baby in the family.
above the age of 25.
He.
Okay. When I turn 50,
Yeah. It's like
I
Jedediah
owe my
Cove
ex-wife
Groover
the value
or whatever her last
of
name
my
is.
comics.
Yep, Jedediah Cove. Mm-hmm. All right. Love
Okay.
you.
My soon-to-be ex-wife is willing to forego alimony in exchange for the value of my comics when I turn 50. Is this a good deal? I'm curious to your take on this. As a retailer, you probably know the value of comics, and you could tell me whether it's a good deal or not. Curious to your thoughts. Thank you for your show. I really enjoyed listening to it. It's helped me out during the painstaking moments of my divorce. Okay, we'll stop there. All right. Okay. All right. I'm all right. I almost don't know where to begin here. So let me break this down in a way that may help you and may also be educational for I'm perplexed a little bit by where we're at. Okay. So number one. Sorry, I don't even know where to begin. This is okay, so let me start here. This is weird. Whatever deal you're making is weird. Okay, so let me begin there. I think that so let me if I'm dissecting this, I'm gonna say you're 25. You said a little bit less than 25 years, but let's say you're 25 for a moment. So 25 years from now. So let me put that in perspective. 25 years from now is the year 2050. 2050. Okay? By that time, we'll be in the third term of Baron Trump, and the world will be controlled by mutants and aliens. I mean, like, I don't know. 25 years from now is a fuckload of long time away. If I'm looking at a complete, and I understand you missed 4 issues, and I'm assuming based by your mail, I know that there are actually exactly 4 issues in the Amazing Spider-Man run that are more valuable than the others. They're the spikes in that run. But let's say you have your Amazing Spider-Man run is fully complete in near mint condition, graded 8.0 or above. And we're assessing how much that is worth. So today, it's probably worth, I mean, if you had it graded officially and you were able to sell the whole run, which would be hard to do, you're probably somewhere in the realm of $3.5 to $4 million. Probably somewhere there. Okay, so you're at $3.5 to $4 million. And by the way, the variance of what this would mean is pretty high. But let's say you're in that realm. Okay. If I'm projecting 25 years in the future, the value of these comics is highly unlikely to go down. If I go back in time, that amount of that span, you're probably in the realm of an additional $2 to $3 million worth of revenue or potential income, I should say. So you're probably around $6 to $7 million. If you're getting a divorce and you owe your ex-wife half in 25 years, I mean, like, I'm struggling with this a little bit because I don't even know how to advise you, because there's a bunch of factors to consider. Is your ex-wife crazy? Or soon to be ex-wife? Is she going to be dead in 25 years? If so, take the deal, man. I mean, take it. You don't have to pay any alimony, or you don't have any money outlaid, and you get to keep everything at the end. Cool. If you're going to be paying off $4 million in 25 years, like, shit, you're going to have to sell off your entire collection. That's not a good deal. What if you sell off your collection before that? You're going to have to basically bank the value of that. Like, I think there's a bunch of ways that this could either be wonderful for you or terrible for you. I guess the question you have to ask yourself is your soon-to-be ex-wife a crazy whore who's about to be dead? Like, is she a drug addict? Like, these are questions you have to ask. I think if I were you, I don't like speculative deals. And if you have an investor, or you have somebody who is, I mean, you know, there's a lot of different people who could give you advice in this area. Most of the people who are, you know, in the finance world will tell you, don't make deals based on speculative finance, which means don't, if you think your money is going to grow or alter or change in any way, don't, you know, set terms of alimony or payment based on speculation, because it's the likelihood is you're going to assess it wrong. You're going to, you know, you're going to discover that the deal is worse for you than you think. So therefore, don't, you know, it's not a good idea to go down this path. It's better to go with fixed terms now than speculation in future. In 25 years, and I understand you're above the age of 25, but you didn't say you're 20 years away. You said you're a budget. Yeah, so I'm guessing you're 27, 28. I don't know. In any scenario, 25 years is a long ass time. In that time, Marvel is likely to reboot. Like, Tom Holland is going to be, I mean, Christ, 25 years from now, Tom Holland will be 50. There will be, like, we've gone from Tobey Maguire to Tom Holland to, Jesus, I don't even know, one of the Brad Pitt kids. I have no idea. You're going to have several more iterations of Spider-Man. I wouldn't put money at risk through all of that, because either A, you know, Spider-Man gets more popular, in which case you're leaving money off the table, or Spider-Man's going to tank, in which you owe money that you don't have. So no, it's a bad idea. This is a weird mail. Women, am I right? Anyway, my advice to you is, number one, look, if you're getting divorced, the best thing you can do in your life, and trust me, I've had lots of friends, I've lots of experience in this area. If you're getting divorced, then try and settle all debts, all owed, all everything. Be done. And then be done. Meaning don't gamble on the future. All you're doing is tying yourself to somebody that you don't love anymore, or doesn't love you, or whatever. Just unless there's some kind of weird idea in your head that you're going to get back together with this person someday, it's better to be done and move on. That's relationship advice. Just end it. The end. Move on. That is the better way to go. Anything else is just dragging out pain for later. So just get it done. But the putting your comics at risk, I mean, look, there's no upside to that. The only upside to that is if you believe that you are going to be dead in 25 years, or win $1 billion in the lottery or something where you don't care anymore, and you're basically deferring payment for 25 years is the only upside. Otherwise, it is better for you to say, I mean, look, if I were you, I would say, hey, look, you want to go out and fuck other guys. I want to go out and have other relationships. Let's just call it a day. Give them. If I were you, I'd give them everything from 150 up. All of it. And you'd be like, and the way you would sell this is like, look, you got a bunch of Tom McFarlane issues in there. You got a bunch of, like, the death of Gene DeWolf. You got a bunch of big things in there. So, like, just take it and go. It is better to be done now and start to rebuy that back catalog and that back list than prolong this for 25 years. I mean, imagine 25 years, you'll probably, if you live that long, you're going to get another wife, you're going to get another family. Do you really want to be tethered to this person for 25 years? That's crazy. And for whatever you, I mean, don't have comic books be the thing that binds you. Ever good price. That's terrible. Anyway, all right, that's my crazy advice. What's your advice? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe and shit. Thanks for listening. All right, so you're the first woman president. Okay, what are some of your policies? Like, what are you going to what are you going to insist on as president to make the world a better place?
We're gonna lower tax 50%, and
Okay.
then we're gonna pay all the taxes, but they're candy tax. So you have to go out to stores and buy candy, and then pay your taxes with them. And then
So you're gonna have to lower the taxes, but only put taxes on candy.
yes.
Okay.
Well, no, the taxes, like, they're not gonna be money; they're gonna be candy.
Oh, you have to. You don't pay money taxes. You pay your taxes in candy.
Yes.
Okay.
And then for jobs, you get 50% money and 50% candy.
Oh, you get 50% candy for your job.
Yeah, like when they're paying you, they pay you 50% money, 50% candy.
All right. So you've got a wage system that is mainly a candy-based wage system.
Yeah.
Okay. What about laws? What kind of laws are you passing?
School is 3 hours
3-hour school.
instead of a 3-month break. We get a 6-month break.
Okay. So basically, we're gonna have a fatter, dumber society under your rule.
How dare you?
I'd explain it, but I don't think you could understand.
Fine. How about that? We have an all year school, but every 35 days we get a 15-day break.
Okay, that's gonna basically. How are you gonna fund the diabetes that you're gonna have?
And
Are you gonna fund it in candy?
I'm not gonna eat it.
Oh, you're not gonna eat the candy? Okay, so you're more of a libertarian.
I don't know what that means.
Nobody does.
It's crazy to me that there's people out there that think that I'm not familiar with 3i Atlas. You think there's an alien spaceship heading to Earth that I wouldn't know about that would somehow fly under my radar? Come on, be real. Those aliens probably had to contact my dad just to ask his permission to visit us. Of course I'm familiar with the theory that 3i Atlas is an alien spaceship. If you don't know what I'm talking about, 3i Atlas is a comet that is passing by Mars very soon that doesn't really display the typical things you see in a comet. And a scientist, actually a couple different scientists from what I saw, speculated that because it is so anomalous, we have to be open to the possibility that this could be alien tech, and in the event that it is extraterrestrial, we are not prepared. Now personally, I feel like he should speak only for himself. He's not prepared. Don't rope me in there with you, dork. I've got all kinds of plans and strategies out the wazoo, in case they're three-titted goth alien babes, or in case they're aggressive, hostile species. I've got all kinds of tactics. For example, one's called pants down, ass up, just in case, letting them know I fully submit. Because if these are actually fucking aliens, there is nothing we on this planet can do besides just beg for mercy. Their technology would be so far above our comprehension, we stand no chance. But don't panic. I'm here to tell you, it's just a bunch of hooey. This is such fucking horseradish, man. It's not an alien spaceship. And a lot of other scientists are debunking that narrative because, of course, media is running wild with that about how this is potentially aliens and we have nothing to do, we're vulnerable, we've got to do something, that kind of thing. So it's got people starting to actually believe that it could be. It's not. It's just not. Sorry for blasting you with the cold water of the truth here with the naysaying, farting on all your fun, but it's the truth. There's not a single shred of evidence to suggest this could be an alien spaceship. That whole theory is based off of a single thing. Comet's weird. So we got goofball comet coming by, and they're like, well, I guess it could be alien tech. It is definitely peculiar. This thing is quirky. Maybe it's alien tech. That's it. And this has become so rampant now that this idea that it could be alien spaceships, that you've got the crazies latching onto it here. So they have fully fucking attached to this butthole like a hemorrhoid. And now I'm seeing a ton of shit about like remote viewers who are talking about how this is 100% confirmed alien occupants on 3i Atlas.
CERN, they've used their collider to open up a portal to communicate with extraterrestrial beings.
Whoa.
And one of them are the occupants from 3i Atlas.
To be clear, CERN already has a room and a technology to open a portal to talk to extraterrestrials.
Yes.
But recently, they also used it to communicate with the beings on 3i Atlas.
That's correct.
Okay, go on.
Well, I'm convinced it used every buzzword you could find. Throw CERN in there and immediately got people hooked. Now it's legitimate. So, remote viewing, for those that don't know, it's ESP, basically. Or if you're familiar with MKUltra, it's something they tried with MKUltra. In a nutshell, you basically have people claim that they have these powers, so they'll close their eyes and imagine things and then say it to you and you go, whoa. With the MKUltra project in particular, they tried to make it a little more scientific, spruce it up a bit, but not by much. That's also where you're seeing like the declassified CIA shit about how they had these, you know, mutants go in there and remote view to Mars, and they found giants building doohickeys and doodads on Mars, and then one of them tapped our remote viewer on the shoulder and blasted him to the shadow realm back to Earth 5,000 years in the past or some shit. It's all just bogus. It is the silliest shit that people actually put real stock into. Remote viewing is not a real thing. There is never, in anything I've ever researched on it, a single piece that even makes me even loosely convinced that there could be something to it. It's just fanfic.
So those beings introduce themselves as such, like so we are the occupants of this object, and they did not show up physically. They show up as holograms. Now, they apparently showed up as holograms. They look tall, that's what she said, and they communicated telepathically with every single scientist in the room.
Yeah, but why? When you start asking the why question, this whole fucking narrative falls apart. Why would these aliens even bother responding to a bunch of goobers here astral projecting themselves onto their spacecraft? Why? And how would you even be able to get information from them? They don't speak English unless they're out there with fucking Duolingo studying up on their trip over. Like they're not going to speak any of our languages here on Earth. So even if it's not English, they're not going to know any of the languages here on Earth and be able to communicate it back to you. And I've seen a little bit of cope about how they like transmit feelings. Okay? How though? You don't know their feelings. They wouldn't know our feelings. There's no way you'd be able to somehow make a bridge and figure out what feelings are being transmitted. It's just so fucking stupid, man. But so many people believe this. Like, I've seen this video kind of popping off right now. And it's just some guy saying, like, yeah, so all of us, we were remote viewing, you know, CERN, of course, with their portals that they're able to open. We were talking to the occupants of 3i Atlas, and they introduced themselves as the occupants of 3i Atlas, by the way. They call themselves Atlassians, naturally, no doubt. And, well, we had such an insightful conversation. We even played a game of chess. One of them even gave me an OTPHJ, and I really appreciated the work that he did on my wiener.
Wow. And they all got the same message, which is that they are coming in peace, and they're just trying to come over here to gather all the star seeds of this planet.
So when you remote view, did you pick up on that intention as well?
Yes and no. I believe that the direct reptilians, you know, will be coming to Earth, but as to know what the exact intent, that I couldn't really say.
They're coming to sap the juice out of our 5G towers. We're flying too close to the sun, so now... he calls them the Draco Reptilians. Now they're coming to take all of our G's. No! But apparently other remote viewers were saying that they're coming in peace to take all the star seeds. If you're on TikTok, you're familiar with that nomenclature. Star seeds are people that believe that they are aliens inhabiting a human vessel at the moment. There's a little more nuance to it than that, of course. There's different degrees of star seeds. There's even like a totem pole, like an upper echelon of star seeds that inhabit this planet and the bodies on it. It's a whole lot. That's a big old can of worms. Anyway, though, this sounds a lot like Rapture for the star seeds. So we've got, you know, the galactic hall monitors or whatever coming in here saying, we're just here for your star seeds and then we'll leave. So they're going to rapture star seeds and skedaddle? But why though? Why even bother making the whole trip out here?
Well, this is an extraordinary development.
It is.
You remote viewed 3i Atlas. Did you do that on your own, or were you tasked with this assignment?
No, I was tasked by the same intelligence people I'm working with to look at the object, because those had concerns. But what I saw as a remote viewer was a mothership with occupants on board, and they were mostly Draco reptilian occupants.
Okay.
We pulled the mask off the Scooby-Doo villain. These aliens are actually Draco reptilians. I've been saying it all along. I knew from the get-go, you cannot trust the Draco reptilians. They're always up to something fishy. They're always scheming, those Draco reptilians. I also love how the guy he's talking to just takes all of it at face value. He's like, wow, this is an incredible development. I knew it. This is incredible stuff. Wow, Draco reptilians, that's amazing. Extraordinary. So you saw them? Wow. Yeah, no, I'll just take you at your word. I believe you. It's just so crazy, man. He's just spouting gobbledygook, and people just accept it. For some reason, there are people that actually put stock into this whole remote viewing nonsense.
That's what, I saw as a remote viewer.
And that was corroborated by other remote viewers seeing the same thing.
That's correct. Yes,
the ship and Draco.
That's correct. One of them is John Vivenko, who is also a known remote viewer, and he announced it publicly as well. And other people from the Stargate program as well. So they basically all came up with the same idea.
Well, can't argue with that. That's pretty irrefutable. Other remote viewers confirming what the others are saying. We now have a group of people all saying the same thing. They closed their eyes and saw Draco reptilians. I need to take this more seriously. I think I've been clowning on it a bit too much, but that right there at the end, that sealed the deal. It's Draco reptilians and 3i Atlas heading our way, and we've got to get ready. Now, I'm not overly familiar with Draco reptilians, but I'm going to go take a nap and remote view, see if I can learn anything in my dreams about them. If I find any of their weaknesses, I'll be sure to share it with all of you, but just start preparing the best you can for the arrival of the Draco reptilians. The remote viewers are trying to warn us. They've already touched base with them on 3i Atlas all the way out there in the cosmos. So, yeah, anyway. Pretty cool shit. That's about it. See ya.
Hey, folks. David Stewart here. Check out these books. You can search them up on Amazon.
Same. People are saying it's not
Read
the
them,
same
enjoy
as
them.
it was.
All kinds
They
of genres.
apparently had to
Fantasy,
have
horror,
like a
science
lot
fiction,
of
nonfiction,
different,
literary fiction. It's all in there.
animatronics.
Let's talk about the
But
negative
they've
lottery, the
changed
inverse
it where
lottery.
you have to like
if you
scan
will.
the QR code.
You all know the normal
see the
lottery.
other
Maybe you know,
animatronics.
you're thinking of the
What
lottery
is
like
those
random people die. No, I'm thinking like you buy a lottery ticket and you maybe win. Low cost, high potential reward.
She said, "Can I have some
Low
more rice?"
probability of that high potential reward, but still a high potential reward. So $5, not a big cost. Potential payout, millions upon millions of dollars. It's not really a good deal because you're much more likely to just never win the lottery than to win the lottery, but you at least have the potential of having an upside, and the cost is fairly low. The opposite of that are all kinds of risks that I see people take that have virtually no upside. They have a very, very small potential upside and a gigantic potential downside. Instead of winning the lottery, you like die, right? Think of like drunk driving. If you decide to drive drunk, there's a chance you could get home safely. I guess that would be the potential upside. I got home.
No chicken?
I got home with my car.
No.
And the potential downside is that you die and maybe kill other people at the same time, or maybe go to jail. Those are really, really big downsides. Where you, instead of winning the lottery, you lose it, and you lose it in a big way where you lose everything that you have. But people do these sorts of behaviors all the time. They drive drunk. Maybe alcohol impairs their ability to understand what I'm talking to you now. But they do other things like they have extramarital affairs. It's like, I'm gonna go sleep with this woman, and I'm going to basically risk everything I have for a few moments of pleasure. And when you put it like that, it's like, oh, yeah, I could get away with it, right? So the potential upside is I have sex.
Chicken.
And the potential downside is I lose everything. I lose my wife, my kids. I lose my whole life that I built. Okay. But people still do this all the time because that momentary excitement is so exciting. They get so excited by the idea that they talk themselves into getting just a tiny little upside and risking everything. And I think about this with like people riding motorcycles, you know, oh, motorcycles are great. You can split lanes. Yeah, but you could also just die. And in fact, every person I've ever known that drove a motorcycle has crashed that motorcycle and been injured riding their motorcycle at least one time. Whereas I've known people that have been in car accidents and have never been injured, right? I've only known one person that's been seriously injured in a car accident my whole life. And now that number could be higher for you, it could be lower for you, but I've known people that got in accidents and they've never been like seriously injured. So the potential for dying in a car accident is fairly low. And in fact, the trade-off for like driving to work is a pretty good one. You have a really, really low chance of losing everything, much less than if you were driving drunk. And then you have a definite potential upside, which is you get paid to go to work. And so we engage in these sorts of risks all the time, negative lottery risks, usually to our benefit and in ways where like the potential downside is just insanely low. It's minuscule. It's minuscule that you would have something where it would like destroy your entire life. But other times I see people do things that are just
You better eat all that because you've got quite a bit on your plate.
And a lot of in a lot of cases, I think people are pretty rational, and I think a lot of changes in behavior can be.
Are we human again?
Basically quantified in terms of this negative lottery.
People are saying
you hear some women complain like, why aren't men asking women out anymore? It's because of this. They perceive that the upside is not very big, but the potential downside could destroy their life.
We have to like snap a QR
You guys think I'm joking, but it's like
look at them
a woman
on your phone
could
order them online.
humiliate you online, could destroy your life, could accuse you of something if you were to try to hit on her at a bar. So you just don't do it. It's not worth the risk.
Halloween
It's the upside. What's the potential upside? The potential upside is very low, that this person's going to respond to me, that a good relationship's going to come out of it, and then there is a potential that I could lose everything. So that high, it's not so much about the chance of a bad thing happening. It's that bad thing happening can be so severe that you don't want to risk it at all. It's like if you had a 1% chance of just dying every time you walked out of the house, no one would leave the house. 1% sounds very low, but you would have to think about it like I'd be pretty much guaranteed to die this year if I had a 1% chance of dying when I walked outside of the door. No one would take that risk. But you know, if you have the potential for your entire reputation to be destroyed for taking a small risk, you're just not going to do it because the upside really isn't there. And I think a lot of people are just making rational decisions about things like that. They are hedging their bets, they're covering their asses. That's what they're doing in order to do these things. And you can think about it with, say, not going to dinner with female coworkers. Heard this rule. Some people call it like the Mike Pence rule. And it's something that I've actually told a lot of people to take up, a lot of teachers especially, never be alone with a student. Because the upside of whatever that meeting is to help the kid, if it's a student or to, you know, have an important business conversation with someone you work with, that has a big potential negative downside, even if it's a low frequency consequence of
Draco.
Somebody getting the wrong idea about it, somebody getting offended, that being a potential to harm you. It's better to just not have that happen.
They were just talking about it while we
you know, you probably won't happen, but you want to completely minimize and eliminate that risk because of the impact, the potential negative impact of whatever's going on there. So I think a lot of people just make rational decisions about these sorts of negative lottery equations. And if you complain that people aren't playing the negative lottery all the time, you just have to think about, oh, well, have we made the consequences so severe? It's like, why is everybody so like this now? It's because there's a camera always on them, and their life could be ruined at any moment by saying anything that's a little bit unorthodox. That's why nobody's funny. If I make a comedy routine and I have a chance of having my life ended and never being able to work or own a house, or my wife's going to leave me because of the negative backlash to some joke I make, I'm not going to make that joke, right? I'm just going to not be funny. I'm going to not take any risks. So the risk reward thing, I think people are more rational than we tend to give them credit for, at least when they're sober, right?
And what do you
that's a big a big part of this negative lottery thing that I'm talking
I
about.
never have anything to
But anyway, I want to know your thoughts about this. Like, are there any things you think about with the negative lottery where it's not like an expensive lottery ticket? In fact, that's me talk about this too. Let's talk about really expensive lottery tickets. Because a lottery ticket is $5 with a big potential payout.
I think so.
The other thing people do is they buy expensive lottery tickets. I'll give you a really good one, which is OnlyFans. Women will make pornographic content for OnlyFans thinking, I could make $10 million like this
I'm not complaining.
prostitute over there. And I really want $10 million. But the cost is you can never take that offline. Like somebody that buys it, they put it out there. It's potentially out there forever. And no matter what decisions you make later in your life, you may have to explain to your kids that like you did porn or something. You may find that you're unable to have a teaching job because you did porn before. That has happened before. People have gotten fired, right? Massive potential life.
I don't even know if that PlayStation will play
DVDs,
DVDs, guys.
To doing OnlyFans, and the average
it might.
OnlyFans model makes like $50 a month, which means most people are not even making that. So you're doing that for virtually no reward to buy a lottery ticket. People do this all the time. Like I write books. Books are like lottery tickets. They're really expensive lottery tickets. If I didn't care about the product I was making on a deep level, like on a spiritual level, it's the product of me, then it would be just the worst use of my time imaginable is to write books because you are playing the lottery. You're hoping to make a ton of money by chance.
Are they doing a new one?
With YouTube videos too. YouTube is playing the lottery. Is it an expensive lottery ticket? Maybe not.
So they're probably
this
just
video
started
is
working
8
on it.
minutes and 43 seconds. So spending 10 minutes of my time, maybe more because I have to, upload it to YouTube.
What about Spider-Verse, the inverse?
Something. That's not a huge cost in the potential reward.
Me neither.
Money or some more attention or more people buying my books, that kind of stuff. So the risk to reward.
I heard, they're going to take
big potential upside, not a huge cost. It's a fairly cheap lottery ticket, but there's people who spend huge amounts of money to make a YouTube video and nobody pays attention. They spend 40 hours making a YouTube video and 100 people watch it. And that's great. That's 100 people that watched it. That's cool. But that's a lot of work for virtually no reward. So there's a lot of just really expensive lottery tickets out there. They don't have a big potential negative consequence to you personally, but they have a big cost to what you're doing. And so it's helpful to think about. If you're motivated by, I want to be a rock star. Well, the rock star is the person who wins the lottery with a really expensive lottery ticket. I want to be the next Kevin Smith. You're going to put in a lot of time and money to make an independent film that probably no one will watch. You'd be better off spending that money buying lottery tickets, or doing the parlay at the sports bet or something.
That's why they go to the casino, dude.
With the money, because
and the lottery
tickets
that's
are very low and the cost is really high. So expensive lottery tickets are
that little thin fucking ray of hope that I might get out of this.
The negative
and be one of them
behaviors that have the
and then it'll make them okay. Once I get to be one of them, it's all okay.
People do these. How are they able to convince themselves to do that in the moment without really thinking about everything? Do they just live too much in the moment? Anyway, you let me know. I'd be interested to know your perspective on it as well. Have a great one. And
No, but I
next
do.
Time, my books are on Amazon.
Everybody likes nice things, dude.
See you later.
I know that's the truth. Everybody likes nice things, and it takes work to have nice things. So everything else is just complexity or whatever.
Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot wasn't just a disciple of Jesus. He is a symbol of the greatest betrayal in the spiritual history of humanity. Among the 12 disciples handpicked by Jesus, Judas held a significant role. He was responsible for the group's finances. But behind his role as treasurer was a heart filled with ambition and disappointment. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 26, verses 14 to 16, Judas went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" And they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave. The moment of betrayal took place in the Garden of Gethsemane. With a kiss, Judas identified Jesus to the soldiers who came to arrest him. Ironically, he used a sign of love to betray love himself. Although remorse came later, Judas threw the silver into the temple and hanged himself. Matthew chapter 27, verses 3 to 5. The damage had been done. Judas is not a figure who was evil merely for his actions, but because he witnessed miracle after miracle directly from Jesus and still chose to sell him out. He was not an
She
enemy from
says,
the
I
outside,
can't
but a
hear
traitor from
you.
within. And that, according to many
I can't hear
theologians, is the
you.
purest form of evil.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll go
King
away.
Ahab.
Wait,
King
no!
Ahab was not merely a weak king, he was a ruler who ushered in an era of moral darkness in Israel. Reigning over the northern kingdom in the 9th century BC, Ahab is known from the book of 1 Kings as the king who did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him. 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 30. But his greatest sin was marrying Jezebel, the Phoenician princess, who introduced the cult of Baal worship on a grand scale into Israel. Ahab built a temple for Baal in Samaria and even set up Asherah poles, making false worship a national policy. Under Jezebel's influence, Ahab persecuted the Lord's prophets and allowed the people to be led astray spiritually. One of his most brutal acts involved the vineyard of Naboth. When a common man refused to sell his ancestral land, Ahab sulked like a child. Jezebel then orchestrated a
But yeah,
conspiracy
no,
to
when I
have
went in there,
Naboth
she had like
falsely
a big
accused
smile
of
on her
cursing
face.
God and
She
had
was
him
like
stoned to
wiggling
death so
around.
that Ahab could seize his land. The prophet Elijah then condemned Ahab and prophesied the total destruction of his family line. And it came to pass, Ahab died on the battlefield, his blood licked up by dogs, a prophecy horrifically fulfilled. King Ahab is a classic example of power sacrificed for the sake of compromise and greed. Jezebel was no ordinary queen. She is the absolute symbol of female
All I
wickedness
know is
in the
that's the
entire
sin that
Judeo-Christian
did
tradition.
Jezebel in.
The daughter of King Ethbaal of Sidon, Jezebel brought the worship of Baal and Asherah into the heart of Israel when she married King Ahab. But what made her so evil was not merely her idolatry, it was her brutal aggression toward all that
Yeah,
represented the
this whole
God of
Middle
Israel.
East thing that just went
In
down
1
is
Kings
like
chapters 18 through 21, she
satanic
is
as
described
fuck,
as
Nicole.
hunting down and slaughtering the
Yeah.
Lord's prophets,
Okay.
forcing Elijah
Just making
himself to
sure
flee into
we
the wilderness from her threats. Her wickedness reached
some
its
kind of
peak when she
weird
forged
human
official royal letters to
sacrifice.
arrange the murder of Naboth, an innocent commoner who refused to sell his field. She arranged for Naboth to be accused of blasphemy and stoned to death, then calmly presented the vineyard to Ahab.
Oh my gosh,
Not only
calamari.
did she ally with corrupt power, Jezebel manipulated law and religion for her own personal gain. But her death
You
mirrored her
can't
evil.
wash right now. I
Thrown from a
just turned
window
the
by her
water
own
off.
attendants, her body was trampled by horses, and dogs devoured her flesh until little was left. 2 Kings chapter
I
9,
can't
verses
hear
30 to
you.
37. Even in the New Testament, her name appears as a metaphor for a false
too.
prophet and a seducer. Revelation chapter 2, verse 20. Jezebel was not merely evil, she was legendary. Herod the Great. Herod the Great is known to the world as the
I've got a
king who
side mission
rebuilt the
I'm desperately
Jerusalem
not
temple.
wanting to do.
But in the gospel narrative, he is remembered as the bloodthirsty king who ordered the slaughter of the infants of Bethlehem. He was appointed by the Roman Empire as king of the Jews around 37 BC, but his reign was marked by cruelty, paranoia, and the systematic murder of anyone he considered a threat, including his own sons. His greatest crime is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 2, verse 16. After hearing from the Magi about the prophecy of the birth of the King of the Jews, Herod panicked. Unsure of the child's identity, he ordered the killing of all male children 2 years old and under in Bethlehem and its vicinity. This event is known as the Massacre of the Innocents, one of the most horrifying tragedies in biblical history. The historicity of this event is debated, but it is consistent with the character of Herod known from the records of the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus. He executed his favorite wife, 3 of his sons, and other royal relatives on mere suspicion of a coup. At the end of his life, Herod suffered from a terrible disease and died in isolation and fear. He was not just a king, he was a paranoid tyrant who unleashed horror to protect his throne. Cain.
Fucking camera.
Cain was not just a murderer, he was the first human to take another's life, making him the timeless symbol of jealousy, anger, and the destruction that comes from sin.
Oh, you're too kind.
In Genesis chapter 4, Cain and his brother Abel both brought offerings to the Lord, but the Lord looked with favor on Abel's offering of the firstborn of his flock, while he did not look with favor on Cain's offering from the fruit of the soil. Cain became furious, not at God, but at his own brother. Filled with vengeance, Cain invited Abel into the field and murdered him. No weapon is mentioned, for at that time, Violence was a new thing in the human world. This was not merely a murder, it was the first symbol of sin's deadly consequences in human relationships. When the Lord asked where is your brother Abel? Cain answered with the cold, cynical words that have echoed through the ages, "Am I my brother's keeper?" As punishment, Cain was cursed to be a wanderer on the earth, yet God placed a mark on Cain so that no one would kill him, creating a tension between justice and mercy. Cain was not a villain because of his strength, but because of his uncontrolled weakness. He's proof that sin is not just an act, but an inheritance passed down since the fall of man. Delilah was not a queen, a general, or even a false prophet, yet her betrayal has made her the timeless symbol of a seductive woman who destroys a man's strength through manipulation. Her story is recorded in Judges chapter 16. She was a Philistine woman who captured the affection of Samson, the mighty judge and warrior of Israel who was endowed with supernatural strength by God. The Philistine rulers, unable to defeat Samson physically, approached Delilah with the offer of a great reward to discover the secret of his strength. She pressed him repeatedly, and Samson lied to her several times, but Delilah did not give up. She kept nagging.
Oh, that's probably when he got in trouble. He lied.
Until Samson finally gave in and confessed that his strength came from his Nazarite hair, which had never been cut. Once Samson was asleep on her lap, Delilah called for an accomplice and had his hair cut off. Samson lost his strength, was blinded, and was made a spectacle in the temple of Dagon. Delilah was not just a personal betrayer. She was a political tool who destroyed the hope of the nation of Israel by exploiting the emotional weakness of one man. She proved that even the greatest strength can be shattered not by a sword, but by desire and betrayal wrapped in a cloak of false love. Haman is one of the most cruel and cunning figures in all of Scripture, not merely for his personal ambition, but because he nearly committed genocide against the entire Jewish people. In the book of Esther, specifically chapters 3 through 7, Haman served as the prime minister under King Ahasuerus of Persia. When a Jew named Mordecai refused to kneel before him, Haman was not just enraged. He resolved to exterminate all of Mordecai's people from the kingdom. He twisted words, persuading the king to approve a decree for the annihilation of the entire Jewish people on a specific date. Full of arrogance, Haman even built a gallows 50 cubits high, about 75 feet, specifically for Mordecai. But his plan collapsed when Queen Esther, who it turned out was also Jewish, exposed his conspiracy to the king. In a dramatic twist, Haman was hanged on the very gallows he had built for his enemy. Haman was not just a personal villain, he is a systemic representation of power abused to justify racial hatred. To this day, during the celebration of Purim, the Jewish people read his story and make noise whenever his name is mentioned as a symbol of resistance against tyranny and hatred. Ananias and Sapphira. Ananias and Sapphira are a chilling example of how spiritual hypocrisy can lead to instant death. In the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5, verses 1 to 11, this couple sold a piece of property and claimed to be giving the entire proceeds to the early church community, which was then living in a spirit of complete sharing. But secretly, they held back part of the money, not because they were stealing in a legal sense, but because they were pretending to give everything. Ananias came first. When the Apostle Peter asked, "Why has Satan so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit?" Ananias immediately fell down and died. A few hours later, his wife Sapphira arrived, unaware of what had happened. When Peter confronted her with the same lie, she too fell down and died instantly. Great fear seized the whole church. There was no blood, no murder, only the naked truth
I think
exposing
it's the
a lie
lying
and
that
God
got them
delivering
in trouble.
immediate
That seems to
judgment.
be the theme.
Ananias and Sapphira are not known for physical cruelty, but for playing games with faith for the sake of their image. They are a symbol that in the presence
Will
of
you plug
God,
me back
spiritual
in,
pretense
please?
is more deadly than visible sin.
The microwave, yeah.
Doug the Edomite may not be a well-known name, but his crime shook the moral foundations of Israel. He was a power-hungry traitor, known from 1 Samuel chapters 21 and 22 as the Bloody Hand, who massacred the entire community of priests in the city of Nob on King Saul's orders, but with shocking willingness. When David, who was being hunted by Saul, sought refuge and food from Ahimelech, the priest at Nob, Doeg happened to witness the event. He later reported it to Saul in a cunning and misleading way, implying that the priests were conspiring with David. Saul, enraged and paranoid, ordered his guards to kill the priests, but they refused. Only Doeg was willing, and he carried it out ruthlessly. He struck down 85 priests, all of them wearing the linen ephod, a symbol of holy service. But he didn't stop there. He also put the entire town of Nob to the sword. Men and women, children and infants, and even the livestock. Doeg is a horrifying example of how a man can curry favor with power to the point of becoming an instrument of murder. He was not a king, not a general, just an ordinary man with a rotten ambition who silenced the voice of God with a sword. King Manasseh. King Manasseh is described in 2 Kings chapter 21 and 2 Chronicles chapter 33 as the most wicked king in the history of Judah. He reigned for 55 years, the longest of any king of Israel or Judah, but his reign was an era filled with spiritual abominations and bloodshed. He did not merely worship idols, he built altars for foreign gods inside the very temple of the Lord. Manasseh sacrificed his own sons in the fire, practiced sorcery and divination, and consulted mediums and spiritists, acts strictly forbidden by the law of Moses. He set up a carved image of Asherah in the temple and led the people into mass idolatry. The Bible says, moreover, Manasseh shed so much innocent blood that he filled Jerusalem from end to end. 2 Kings chapter 21, verse 16. His evil did not just destroy that generation, it provoked the Lord's anger that would eventually lead to Jerusalem's fall to the Babylonians. Ironically, at the end of his life, after being captured and exiled to Babylon, Manasseh repented and was restored to his kingdom, 2 Chronicles chapter 33. But the scars he'd left on his nation could not be erased. Manasseh was not just evil, he was the architect of a nation's spiritual ruin.
Fluid, and you can just submerge your entire computer in it. I'm like, that sounds so cool. To just have a weird water computer. I mean, we got water coolers and all that other stuff, but I don't know. There's something about suspending my computer in some kind of strange oil, some kind of weird tank, some sort of sensory deprivation experiment for compute.
You so calm.
Cool as it initially seems, because dealing with a bunch of other stuff, but I have been thinking more about fan curves and noise out of the computer and all of that stuff. Fan control, which is the piece of software that a lot of people use to control the fans on their computer and have them automatically spin up when things get hot. And like, if you want more control over it than your BIOS does already, you can get in there and mess with it. But they've gone through, like, the last couple of months, like the driver that they use, much like a lot of modern video games, the driver that they were using to pull the sensor information from temperatures and all of that stuff, Windows has decided to start flagging it as unsafe, with its kind of antivirus kind of, it's not necessarily a virus, but it is like a ring 0 driver, so it's sort of one of those things where if that access got compromised, then you would have a bunch of, you would have a bunch of bad access to the computer. And so the people at Fan Control, the person at Fan Control, has had to completely redesign a lot of that stuff to use different types of drivers and different methods to kind of pull that sensor data. And that has been a bumpy ride for me over here, where that stuff is just basically completely not worked to sometimes working, and then will die after a couple of hours, and I have to reboot to get the sensor. National nightmare of Fan Control. So all for this computer to be quieter. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place, this computer, by default, if I'm not running any kind of fan control software, the minute I start a download, especially from Steam, because the Steam downloads are fast, I guess, every single fan spins up. The entire case goes 100% as soon as you start downloading anything. And I was like, that's ridiculous. There's no way that starting this download is immediately redlining these components, or, you know, it is certainly generating heat. All this data is hot.
Wow.
This hot data that I'm acquiring.
Can you believe that?
But that's stupid. And so, you know,
Whoa.
Making some changes to the ways the fans spin up has been.
What did you expect? It's America. You won't be needing this now.
I had my other computer. So I have my computer here that I'm using for this broadcast and all this other stuff. I had another computer wired up to a capture card for kind of dual PC streaming type stuff. That computer was laying on its side on the bottom shelf of this thing, and it stuck out a little bit.
You don't just be hitting on me for
That's all you got?
The government puts implants in our necks.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hi, welcome to the program. No matter how many times I clear my throat before the show begins, here we are.
What's your problem? You don't need this no more. It's the best you got.
It's not really a hole, it's your finger.
That's cool.
Forever, is that still technically accurate? Like, oh, TV signals beam into space forever and ever and ever. I don't know how any of that stuff works. Hi, we're here. And it is the middle of video games season, and it has started raining outside, which I feel like is a solid. It's only going to rain today because it's Southern California. So, but it's. I got you go from like, you know, hey, it's like 90 degrees, you know, 85 degrees, hot, unpleasantly so in a lot of cases, to all of a sudden, okay, you're gonna get now there's a flood watch on for your area. So I've been dealing with flood watch. There's nothing to deal with. I make it sound like I'm out here with a helmet on. Go get the sandbags. Get these sandbags up. What are we doing? No, I'm not. I do have some sandbags in case things get a little out of control. Which I was thinking, you know, kind of as things start to maybe move out to the garage to kind of you know, eventually.
All right, bro. I'm gonna have to do this too. I'm gonna have to shoot you right in the head.
Give me that.
As it turns out, unless you're into those weird, I would love to get. my computer is loud. Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it, right behind me. But the those compute.
Yeah, you gotta wait, Sydney's still.
Can't you chase a dude who want to be chased?
You gotta be kidding me, dude.
That's very kind of you. Oh, you're too kind. I'm gonna deflate the knees. Multi-talented performer. That's Mark Andrews.
Huh?
You upstart colonial brats.
That was strange.
Stop the landmine. These rap fools be needing bodyguards, huh? In jail, being on top ain't gay. What did you expect? It's America. I need this more than you, I think. You just a... you so kind. Raise up, Mark. That dead body made my day. In the pen, we play strip football.
On the floor, I don't want water on the floor as well. That's a bad mix, it turns out. Unless you're into those weird, I would love to get, my computer is loud. Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it, right behind me. But the,
you want to get shut up, huh? You won't be needing this, man. Yeah, thanks, That's all you got? Something died,
always seems kind of cool, but everyone says that when you do that, it actually, is super bad for the components, and it's like it's really neat, but only lunatics need to do it, and all of that. So it's not actually the cool. It's not actually as cool as it initially seems because you're dealing with a bunch of other stuff. But I have been thinking more about fan curves and noise out of the computer and all of that stuff. Fan control, which is the software that
what happened, baby?
used to control the fans on their computer and have them automatically spin up when things get hot. And like if you want more control over it than your BIOS does already, you can get in there and mess with it. But they've gone through like the last couple of months, like the driver that they use, much like a lot of modern video games. The driver that they were using to pull the sensor information from temperatures and all of that stuff, Windows has decided to start flagging it as unsafe. You know, with its kind of antivirus kind of, you know, it's not necessary.
I gotta make a getaway. Move.
In 3 years.
I'm really clucking here. I like to share too. Thank you. Go Bender. Oh, look. Watch it. It's the best you got.
Okay. There you go, baby.
I wish I could find a border with it tonight.
Isabel, are you excited for Frozen Zoo? Yeah. Okay, that's that. Oh. I'm gonna turn that one out.
You don't need this no more.
So the first year becomes cool. Your popcorn. I can't get the popcorn.
You want me to shoot you as well?
Edward, do you want to watch the first Frozen or the second Frozen?
Give me that.
Okay.
The killer bees have finally arrived. Yes, right. I see you.
Oh.
You don't need it now. Oh, you want to fight?
Did you
want me
grab
to stop, huh?
the plate top?
Hey guys, babies, this is really bad. Hey, this is really bad. Hey, please listen to me right now. Please, both of you, this is really bad. Izzy, come here. Stand right over here, please. Sydney, you too, please. Sorry, this is just really bad time. Sorry, really bad time. And everybody's screaming, mom's vacuuming. The sound level in the house is just off the roof, and you guys are starting to fight. Let me get inside this house, please. Okay.
I'm saying.
Wait. Please wait. Let mom finish vacuuming. Okay. There. Mom, are you ready for them? I don't know what's going on. We're having meltdowns.
Dada.
Yeah. So no.
I'm not.
Stop.
See?
Okay,
It's the tone. It's just the tone. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't.
Microwave.
Isabel.
Baby, Izzy, it doesn't matter. You're just being weird and bossy. Baby, both. Okay, movie night is almost canceled.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys are. You're.
Does it matter what popcorn? It literally does not matter.
It won't like the trout walking out of
You're being as stubborn as
She
she is.
is.
You're about to cancel movie night because I am not doing this. I'm fucking
You're
hot.
fighting.
I'm tired. I bought you guys Halloween costumes. We're having a movie night, and you guys are just bound and
Easy,
determined
mom. Mic's
to
on. But yeah,
make
and
it
it's still not
bad.
good enough. It's still not good enough. You guys can't agree, and you're looking for things to fight over. That's why everyone's getting upset. You're finding meaningless things to fight over. That's why everybody's getting upset. That means you too, Isabel. Stop. Please. Talk nice, dude. Talk nice.
Update what's out again. And yeah, Izzy, you could have given in too. Could have let Sydney
Two
pick up
low
the
down
stuff.
niggas going crazy.
Control, ladies. Just saying, keep it under control. Don't forget. It's on the bed. It's bad. You guys have been together a lot. I get it. I'm used to it.
No. Okay.
Careful.
Now, you're okay. Solve it.
25 seconds. It's too tight. Rush my blow off. I really tried to it. It's
We have a track note. Okay.
Hey, yo, you dropped a bomb on me.
It's in the one with the water.
Hey.
Warm it up, Kane. Warm it up, CJ. Warm it up, Kane.
Some salt. I like this. Where's the salt?
Bring it over here. Don't fall down. Or get all over that plate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you need to brush and cut brushing in here. It's all. Remember. Careful, Izzy.
Young Ha, what it?
Careful. That's school. Bar.
You gonna back down soon? Ah, you so kind.
A lot of that stuff to use different types of drivers and different methods to kind of pull that sensor data, and that has been a bumpy ride for me.
What did you expect? It's America. You won't be needing this now.
Got that fool sprung. Set him up. Oh, bitch.
That's very kind of you.
All for this computer to be quieter. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place, this computer, by default, if I'm not running any kind of fan control software, the minute I start a download, especially from Steam, because the Steam downloads are fast, I guess, every single fan spins up. The entire case goes 100% as soon as you start downloading anything. And I was like, that's ridiculous. There's no way that starting this download is immediately redlining these components, or, you know, it is certainly generating heat. All this data is hot. This hot data that I'm acquiring. But that's stupid. And so, you know, yeah, making some changes to the ways the fans spin up has been good for my sanity and good for the people who occasionally sleep in this room, which has been nice. I've had to. I made some changes here in this room because I have like a, you can't really see it super well behind me if you're watching the video version. I've got a television behind me that is on like a glass entertainment center. And I've had this thing for years and years, and it's, you know, it's tempered glass, all that other stuff. The TV sits on it. It's got a shelf in the middle that I can put a PlayStation.
Stay cool. That's all you got? Oh, you're too kind.
Oh.
I'm feeling fucking good off this shit, dog. Sure.
Technically accurate, like, oh, TV signals beam into space forever and ever and ever. I don't know how any of that stuff works. Hi, we're here, and it is the middle of video games season, and it has started raining outside, which I feel like is a solid. It's only going to rain today because it's Southern California, so. But it's, we go from like, you know, hey, it's like 90 degrees, you know, 85 degrees, hot, unpleasantly so in a lot of cases, to all of a sudden, okay, you're gonna get, now there's a flood watch on for your area. So I've been dealing with flood watch, there's nothing to deal with. I make it sound like I'm out here with a helmet on. Go get the sandbags! Get these sandbags up! What are we doing? No, I do have some sandbags in case things get a little out of control. Which I was thinking, you know, kind of as things start to maybe move out to the garage to kind of you know, eventually relocate this operation. Sometimes water does get under that garage door. I was like, oh, I guess I need to make sure that that garage door is sealed to ensure that, you know, now if I'm going to put computers on the floor, I don't want water on the floor as well. That's a bad mix, it turns out. Unless you're into those weird, I would love to get, my computer is loud. Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it, you know, right behind me. But those computers that are where everything is immersed in some kind of creepy liquid, you know, where they're like, it's a non-conducive fluid and you can just submerge your entire computer in it. I'm like, that sounds so cool. To just have a weird water computer. I mean, you know, we got water coolers and all that other stuff. But I don't know. There's something about suspending my computer in some kind of strange oil some kind of weird tank, some sort of sensory deprivation experiment for computers. That always seems kind of cool, but everyone says that when you do that, it actually, you know, is super bad for the components, and you know, it's like it's really neat, but only lunatics need to do it, and all of that. So it's not actually the cool. It's not actually as cool as it initially seems, because you know, dealing with a bunch of other stuff, but I have been thinking more about fan curves and noise out of the computer and all of that stuff. Fan control, which is the piece of software that a lot of people use to control the fans on their computer and have them automatically spin up when things get hot, and like if you want more control over it than your BIOS does already, you can get in there and mess with it. But they've gone through, like, the last couple of months, like the driver that they use, much like a lot of modern video games, the driver that they were using to pull the sensor information from temperatures and all of that stuff, Windows has decided to start flagging it as unsafe. You know, with its kind of antivirus kind of, you know, it's not necessarily a virus, but it is like a Ring 0 driver, so it's sort of one of those things where if that access got compromised, then you would have a bunch of, you know, you would have a bunch of bad access to the computer. And so the people at Fan Control, the person at Fan Control, has had to completely redesign a lot of that stuff to use different types of drivers and different methods to kind of pull that sensor data. And that has been a bumpy ride for me over here, where that stuff is just basically completely not worked to sometimes working, and then will die after a couple of hours, and I have to reboot to get the sensors back, and just a lot of crazy stuff around fan information. But it's right now, over the last couple of days here, the last version or two seems to have stabilized that. So hopefully our long national nightmare of fan control is over. All for this computer to be quieter. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place, this computer, by default, if I'm not running any kind of fan control software, the minute I start a download, especially from Steam, because the Steam downloads are fast, I guess, every single fan spins up. The entire case goes 100% as soon as you start downloading anything. And I was like, that's ridiculous. There's no way that starting this download is immediately redlining these components, or, you know, it is certainly generating heat. All this data is hot. This hot data that I'm acquiring. But that's stupid. And so, you know, yeah, making some changes to the ways the fans spin up has been good for my sanity, and good for the people who occasionally sleep in this room, which has been nice. I've had to.
No.
I made some changes here in this room because I have like a. You can't really see it super well behind me if you're watching the video version. I've got a television behind me that is on like a glass entertainment center. And I've had this thing for years and years, and it's, you know, it's tempered glass, all that other stuff, and the TV sits on it. It's got a shelf in the middle that I can put a PlayStation 5 on, and it's fine. The baby, who she is now 2, I had my other computer. So I have my computer here that I'm using for this broadcast and all this other stuff. I had another computer wired up to a capture card for kind of dual PC streaming type stuff. That computer was laying on its side on the bottom shelf of this thing, and it stuck out a little bit. And since it stuck out a little bit, the baby could climb on top of it and use it to get up on top of this glass thing and stand there and slap the TV and stand and go, hot, ooh, hot, as she slapped the TV. And I don't like it when she's standing on the glass thing. It doesn't seem like a good idea. It doesn't seem like a good, safe idea. So I'm like, okay, I've got to move all this stuff. So I'm in the process of kind of starting to move things out to the garage and all this other stuff. Anyway, so I took that computer out of there and moved it over here. It's all on the floor, on not on the rug, because you need to have airflow and all this. took the computer out, moved it up there, and naturally, while doing any kind of like recabling, rewiring, moving things around work, I did cut myself open and bleeded out of my shin for a while. It was a good time. But I got everything rigged up again, and I was like, okay, perfect, great, this is awesome. And then the next day, she comes downstairs and she's hanging out here, and she's and she immediately climbs on top of the thing again without the computer there. It's supposed to be the middle shelf doesn't stick out as much, so you're not supposed to be able to climb up it. They built it with that in mind. But she's scary, man. She's a climber. She's pretty good on her feet. She's only fallen a couple of times. And never fallen off of that thing in particular. But she is a daredevil. And is always trying to climb up stuff and jump on the couch and do all the stuff that's just like, oh God, don't do that. Oh geez, don't do that. And she has 2 other kids in the house that are, even more rambunctious, and so she's learning everything from them. And so it's wild. So yeah, I don't know. So I had to take the TV and pull it forward on the glass so that there's no room left for.
Oh, I already got the message.
What?
Please tell Uncle Joe to take down his Facebook post. She hasn't posted yet, and I'm sure she's posting his face online.
Oh,
So you could believe.
yeah.
It has this big,
Everyone wants to control their own narrative. Or whatever, yeah. That is weird, though.
Mm-hmm.
What did I buy here? Reading material change at least?
Roller coaster.
Go get the sandbags. Get these sandbags up. What are we doing? No, I'm not. I do have some sandbags in case things get a little out of control. Which I was thinking, kind of as things start to maybe move out to the garage to kind of eventually relocate this operation. Sometimes water does get under that garage door. I was like, oh. I guess I need to make sure that that garage door is sealed to ensure that if I'm going to put computers on the floor, I don't want water on the floor as well. That's a bad mix, it turns out. Unless you're into those weird... I would love to get... My computer is loud. Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it right behind me. But the... Those computers that are where everything is immersed in some kind of creepy liquid, where they're like, it's a non-conducive fluid and you can just submerge your entire computer in it. I'm like, that sounds so cool.
much so that the girl.
There's a 1091 in progress in Chinatown. Which Chinatown? Chinatown in San Diego, you chump.
Do me a favor. Can I walk up a ladder in GTA? How do I walk up a ladder in GTA? San
You need
Andreas.
to look this up.
Yeah, will you look it up for me? Okay, enter maybe? Not space bar. Control. Ooh. Crouch. Crouch up to it. Yeah, well,
You cannot walk up a ladder in GTA San Andreas. It was a feature added in a later game, GTA 5. Right. On San Andreas, you could.
okay, well, yeah, then I'm stuck out here.
Oh,
Huh.
added in GTA. And you can only access certain objects by jumping to grab and climb over.
Yeah, that's all I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ladders are fake.
Yeah, no traditional ladder climb.
Okay.
Relax, asshole. People got it today. We know.
There's nothing to do. I make it sound like I'm out here with a helmet on. Go get the sandbags! Get these sandbags up! What are we doing? No, I'm not. I do have some sandbags in case things get a little out of control. Which I was thinking, kind of as things start to maybe move out to the garage to kind of eventually reload. Love to get. My computer is loud. Less loud now that I've lowered it under the desk instead of having it, right behind me. But the those computers that are where everything is immersed in some kind of creepy liquid. Where they're like, it's a non-conducive fluid and you can just submerge your entire computer in it. I'm like, that sounds so cool. To just have a weird water computer. I mean, we got water coolers and all that other stuff, but I don't know. There's something about suspending my computer in some kind of strange oil, some kind of weird tank, some sort of sensory deprivation experiment for computers. That always seems kind of cool. But everyone says that when you do that, it actually, is super bad for the components, and it's like it's really neat, but only lunatics need to do it, and all of that. So it's not actually the cool. It's not actually as cool as it initially seems because you're dealing with a bunch of other stuff. But I have been thinking more about fan curves and noise out of the computer and all of that stuff. Fan control, which is the piece of software that a lot of people use to control the fans on their computer and have them automatically spin up when things get hot. And like if you want more control over it than your BIOS does already, you can get in there and mess with it. But they've gone through like the last couple of months, like the driver that they use, much like a lot of modern video games, the driver that they were using to pull the sensor information from temperatures and all of that stuff. Windows has decided to start flagging it as unsafe, with its kind of antivirus kind of, it's not necessarily a virus, but it is like a ring 0 driver. So it's sort of one of those things where if that access got compromised, then kind of pull that sensor data, and that has been a bumpy ride for me over here, where that stuff is just basically completely not worked to sometimes working, and then will die after a couple of hours, and I have to reboot to get the sensors back, and just a lot of crazy stuff around fan information. But it's right now, over the last couple of days here, the last version or two seems to have stabilized that. So hopefully our long national nightmare of fan control is over. All for this computer to be quieter. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place, this computer, by default, if I'm not running any kind of fan control software, the minute I start a download, especially from Steam, because the Steam downloads are fast, I guess, every single fan spins up. The entire case goes 100% as soon as you start downloading anything. And I was like, that's ridiculous.
Where'd I get
There's
a
no
parachute
way that
from?
starting this download is immediately redlining these components, or, it is
I think it's
certainly
automatic.
generating heat. All this data is hot. This hot data that I'm acquiring.
What's up,
Um,
man?
You think I have a parachute on when I
but
get
that's
to an
stupid.
airplane?
And so, making some changes to the ways the fans spin up has been good for my sanity and good for the people who occasionally sleep in this room, which has been nice. I've had to. I made some changes here in this room because I have like a. You can't really see it super well behind me if you're watching the video version. Got a television behind me that is on like a glass entertainment center. And I've had this thing for years and years, and it's, it's tempered glass, all that other stuff, and the TV sits on it. It's got a shelf in the middle that I can put a PlayStation 5 on, and it's fine. The baby, who she is now 2, I had my other computer. So I have my computer here that I'm using for this broadcast and all this other stuff. I had another computer wired up to a capture card for kind of dual PC streaming type stuff. That computer was laying on its side on the bottom shelf of this thing, and it stuck out a little bit. And since it stuck out a little bit, the baby could climb on top of it and use it to get up on top of this glass thing and stand there and slap the TV and stand and go, hot, ooh, hot, as she slapped the TV. And I don't like it when she's standing on the glass thing. It doesn't seem like a good idea. It doesn't seem like a good, safe idea. So I'm like, okay, I've got to move all this stuff. So, I'm in the process of kind of starting to move things out to the garage and all this other stuff anyway. So I took that computer out of there and moved it over here. It's all on the floor, not on the rug because you need to have airflow and all this other stuff. Took the computer out, moved it up there, naturally, while doing any kind of like recabling, rewiring, moving things around work, I did cut myself open and bleeded out of my shin for a while. It was a good time. But I got everything rigged up again and I was like, okay, perfect, great, this is awesome. And then the next day she comes downstairs and she's hanging out here and she's and she immediately climbs on top of the thing again without the computer there. Which it's supposed to be, the middle shelf doesn't stick out as much, so you're not supposed to be able to climb up it. They built it with that in mind. But she's scary, man. She's a climber. She's pretty good on her feet. She's only fallen a couple of times. And never fallen off of that thing in particular. But she is a daredevil. And is always trying to climb up stuff and jump on the couch and do all the stuff that's just like, oh God, don't do that. Oh, geez, don't do that. And she has 2 other kids in the house that are, even more rambunctious, and so she's learning everything from them. And so it's wild, man. So yeah, I don't know. So I had to take the TV and pull it forward on the glass so that there's no room left for her to get up there. And she's very sad about it. And now I feel bad. There's no winning here. There's no like, haha, I've kept this child safer than she was before. And now everyone is happy because now she is like trying to do it and screaming about it because she really wants to get up on top of the thing. And I can't blame her. It's super fun. She loves doing it. It's enjoyable. Yeah. There's no winning, as it turns out. None whatsoever. But
everyone is happy.
Other than that, I don't know. Things on the home front have been pretty much as they've been. My son asks me every day about when the new Katamari game is coming out.
Basically, he had to move. His kid was climbing on shit.
It's like 10 days away, man. It's like it's under 2 weeks.
So everyone's happy, baby's safer.
I have an email out to
except baby.
To baby get it earlier than
now
that, so we can take a look at it.
If you really want to climb up on that,
bare minimum will, it'll be.
Yeah, that's about right.
Like 10 days out. He's like, so tomorrow? No,
really?
Dude, no, that is not how any of this time works. But it's interesting, like the learning and man, it's.
No, really,
he is so obsessed with it, and it's awesome. But also, he is so obsessed with it. It is like,
and we don't get it.
The minute this door opens, if I'm done with the stream,
like we don't stay up at night watching creepy internet videos about the dark web and babies get
the minute I'm done with this podcast and I open the door to this office and I walk out,
and child predators
will be home
in
from
your
school by then.
Baby's picture, and
he will run up to me and he'll say, "Daddy."
I don't know.
I love you, Daddy.
But I know it's a generational
Can I play Katamari?
thing,
Like it's just like boom, boom. Like the
anyone
time
my
to can I play Katamari is like so short.
But then
it is like
it's the
5 seconds or less.
Really
Whenever.
So
and
it's
funny to watch. It's funny to watch him think he's like getting one over.
I don't mean that in that way.
Like, oh no, I know. And like he'll lay here on the floor and play it. I'll be over here, typing
or their kids get posted. They want to have what like a director in a movie.
and he will just
You
lay
want to
there
have
and say,
final
"I
say.
love you, Daddy." It's so
And so, yeah,
relaxing.
they might get,
Which is very
even
fun.
with their friends, hey, don't post pictures of me on your Facebook.
But
Because, yeah, you're like,
it's all he wants to do.
No, they get
so
like,
just
It's
the
too much.
culture has grown
It
up
is
to where, yeah, you
finding
don't do
myself in
that.
this position as a
yeah,
parent
but then it says,
is, I
So
mean,
you
of
just
course, it was
post,
always going to be this
I
way.
know, but
Of
then
course,
it's
like I did it to myself. But there is something
it's a
about the
picture of
idea
yeah,
of me
yeah.
and so
No,
then
but
it
that's what it
becomes
gets,
very
having
you
to
know,
now
controlled. And
tell
it
yeah,
becomes, and it's not,
a
it's all
child,
fake. Yeah. So
you're
that's a
playing too much
natural
of that
reaction. Yeah.
goddamn video
The
game.
old timers would say
It's
that.
like,
Well, what do you think?
oh shit. Like the words are
They're,
coming out of my mouth and I don't fucking believe it. It's just like, no, dude, like just keep.
baby,
No, you're doing it,
what are we
man.
doing?
I don't know, but like he's
Yeah.
you know
What
he's all because
what are we
he wants
doing?
to be big enough to win.
What are
Like
we doing?
he's great at the game now. He's gotten so good at it. He's
Anyway,
beating
it's
every
not
level.
bad,
We have
but
all the trophies in it.
that's what the
All
old
this
timers
stuff,
would tell you.
and you know
Yeah,
he's just
what do
playing
you
the
think
same levels
is
over and
gonna
over
happen
again, which is
about airing your
maniacal. But
and not
you know
even
whatever.
dirty laundry, but like
And
being natural in public, and being normal. You can't be normal in public, dude. That's not true.
yeah,
Everybody knows
it is
everyone's
fascinating to
fake
be
stuff.
on the
Every
side of it of
adult,
just like, yeah, you need more balance in your life. You need something, man. You need something other than this. You need to go out, fucking go outside, goddamn
so,
it.
but yeah,
and they're more just
But you know,
reaffirming that, whether they realize it or not,
getting
as a
firmer
culture,
with
because they've grown up
numbers
with that
and
now. So it's
counting and
not a
stuff. So he's
novelty to
in.
them.
Well, we thought that
And
this was
yeah,
going to
they
be
just don't
he was going to
want
be in
you
kindergarten next year, but it turns out he was
posting
born
shit
on the other
about
side
them, or they're
of a
without
deadline, and
permission, or
so
without, or even
unless something
period.
changes or we move to
But
a
like,
different
they can't
district,
put your
you know,
picture in
something
the.
happens.
Well, it kind of used to be. Yeah, if you're out in public,
We
but
thought
that's
that
not
next
public.
fall he would be going into kindergarten, but he
But
won't
yeah,
be
the
old
paper
enough for
can't
like a
talk
month.
about you without.
And so
Well, kinda.
right
They
now
do all
he's
the
in
time.
like a
Anyway, who
preschool
knows? But yeah.
program
no, it's the younger generation.
that my daughter went through
And
before
then
she
it's one
went
of
to
those
go
things
start
that, like,
kindergarten.
yeah, it just.
Well,
And
kind of. That's what I'm saying, though. It's not.
and it
It's
turns
still an
out he's going to
old
have one
timey
more
thing
year
too.
kind of
Like
spin his wheels. And I'm kind of bummed because
remember
like,
people
we're
that just
finding
let you
that like
take their
all of the
picture.
options are bad. All
Like,
of the
what the
options
fuck
to
do you
send
take
him
my
to,
picture
like,
for?
we're having
What
trouble
are you gonna do
finding
with that?
something for
So it
him
just might
that
be
is like learning
Oh,
based.
the
and
newness
like
of
all of
social
these
media is
programs
wearing
and all this
off.
like
And yeah, the
pre-kindergarten,
more
TK,
traditional
you know,
thing
like
is
all the stuff is like
so.
it's all just like, hey, we're gonna let these kids play. Like that's cool. Like yeah,
But
you need some of that. But like when my daughter went to this same preschool, which is since like the staff has
and it is
converted
there's
over,
data harvesting
like she
and
was writing every day and she was learning and she
all
was
that
writing her
shit.
name
And
and
then
she was doing
there's
like all this
ICE
stuff all
member.
the time.
No, like
And
what if you're
so
and
like
then the
just like figuring
cartel
out
finds
how to
out
get this
that
kid ready for
that's
school.
all
You know,
weird
I can
shit
totally
too. But
fine,
really,
no matter
oh,
how
my
the kid ends
husband's
up
in the
going. It's
military.
been a little weird, and
And
so like
then,
I'm taking it where I can
you
get it
know,
because you know he's going
somehow
to
somebody
preschool,
finds out,
and
you
you know
know, through
they're just like
we're
you know they're colorful
related,
stuff
and
and not
then
really
through
doing much of
your
anything.
Facebook page,
And
they
then
find out
so
the
I'm having to
identity of
like
my
try
children.
to teach him numbers
But
through
that could be a
Katamari.
real what they're thinking, what they're so.
And you know like
Like police
his counting is
officers,
getting better all the time,
how are
and
their
he's
social
counting to
media? You
higher and
don't
higher
just
numbers,
like,
and he's
right?
always
You don't
asking me
just
because he
post
does the
pictures.
level
I'm
the
sure
level he does over
the
and over
family of
again
police officers,
is
they probably all sit down and have the talk. Like, hey, Uncle
instead
Rick,
of a Katamari, it's a
Uncle
sumo
Rick's coming
wrestler,
to
and
the
you're rolling the
barbecue.
sumo
No,
wrestler
that would
around and he
suck.
needs
Hey,
to eat
Uncle
food
Rick's coming to,
in
so
order to
make
get
sure
big
you don't
enough,
take any
bigger than the
pictures of
other
him and his
there's a sumo wrestler
kids.
standing in the world, and you need to go
Like,
crash
fuck,
into him.
man, really?
And that level ends when you hit him
That
no
would
matter
suck
what.
at,
You
but
just
yeah,
need to
but
be bigger than
really,
a certain
yeah.
number to win the fight. And then there's an even bigger secret number that lets you roll the other guy
But
up
that's today's
instead of just
world. That's
bashing him off
today.
the
So,
platform.
and instead
And
of
my son
having that
calls that
conversation, they're probably
getting
just trying to
him
have it,
for
make it a
real
norm
life,
where you don't
quote
do
unquote.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Wants to
avoid
get
these
him for real life
conversations
over and over again. So
by
it needs to
making
be
it a cultural
350
norm,
kilograms
not
to
to
do
like
that. For
post
345, it's like
pictures of
somewhere
the
around
family
350.
picnic on your social media.
to get him for real life. And so he's playing this level, and he's asking me, "How
I was
big am I
gonna
now? How
say
big am I
when,
now?" I was like, "Well, okay, we'll pause it. This number's 1. What's
like
this? What's
even if
this?"
you
It was
look
like
at Lacey's
104.
shower
Okay,
photos,
and
like
so I'm trying to
because
kind
it's
of
Tiffany's, like
They're all very
work
posed,
some
probably,
kind
and
of
I believe
controlled.
numbers
everybody
stuff
but
into
no,
this. It's
all the
very
pictures that
thin,
have Jalen's
but
family.
between
There's
that and
little
watching
balloon
videos of
heads.
the
Those are
Oh,
the
upcoming
is
new
there?
balloons
She does
Katamari
not.
game,
So that's obviously
he's
a decision.
yeah.
And that doesn't come out of
Him
nowhere.
and his
So
older
no,
sister were
no.
playing the Bluey game
And the only
the other
people
day. So
like
it was like
that
it was
I
nice
knew
to
of
see
that
him
did
take a
that,
break from
like
Katamari
at
for once.
least,
But that's
you
like
know,
all
before I got
he's
off,
telling kids
like
about it at school, and
when
I'm
we were
telling
in
him like,
Cub
buddy,
Scouts, the people
none
that
of these
foster
kids have
kids,
played this game.
sometimes there was
None of
rules
these kids have
against that.
played
And
I
And
so,
that
can
makes sense.
guarantee
you know, and I
that there are
like
no
that's the
other
only one I
kids
really
at your
remember. So
school
it's kind of new
Yeah.
that
that are
it's just people being like, no,
playing the
you know,
Katamari game.
so
If
it's
they're playing
weird to
any
me.
video games at all, I can guarantee you no one has heard of it. He's like, okay, I'll tell them about it. And he's got his rap down. Like he can explain it really well.
But yeah,
Like what
people
the
had their
game
name
is,
and
and
address in
you
the
roll
phone book,
people up and
dude.
get big and do this, and like
Yeah.
he's he
No,
really
just
cares
loud.
about
That's a
it.
little loud,
He cares about
Sydney.
all the cousins. He knows all their names. He knows all the levels, all this other stuff. Like it's just it continues to be incredibly fascinating to like watch him like really
No, I
dig
can't.
into
No,
this.
no, too
And so I
negative.
bought him
Come
the
on,
original
let's
one.
get
So
off here. Let's
what
take a break.
he
dude.
has been playing is the remake
We've
of
been
We
playing
Love
a while.
Katamari, which is the second
Just
game.
not feeling this.
But they also remade the first game. So I picked that one up on PlayStation as well because that's where he's been playing. And he will load that up, and he will play a couple levels of that sometimes too. But he doesn't. The first one doesn't do it for him. I think because you can only play as the prince, you can't play as the cousins. You can only like look at them, and they just kind of hang out on a mushroom, and you know, as you do. And so he's not enjoying the first game.
It's just too much, dude. The vibe.
I think the new one.
Just neggy, bro.
As someone who has watched the pirate ship level from the new Katamari be played, there was a they did some hands-on.
Get out of here. Yeah. Neggy. Negative. Vibe. Mouse everywhere. Go save and take a break.
Ow! Well, this is good. That's when I feel I'm gone. Where the hell do you think you're going?
Yes.
We have to get outside.
Every single fan spins up. The entire case goes 100.
Bitch! You sure you want to get your ass kicked? That's all you got?
But that's stupid, and so making some changes to the ways the fans spin up has been good for my sanity and good for the people who occasionally sleep in this room, which has been nice. I've had to. I made some changes here in this room because I have like a. You can't really see it super well behind me if you're watching the video version. I've got a television behind me that is on like a glass entertainment center. And I've had this thing for years and years, and it's, you know, it's tempered glass, all that other stuff, and the TV sits on it. It's got a shelf in the middle that I can put a PlayStation 5 on, and it's fine. The baby, who she is now 2, I had my other computer. So I have my computer here that I'm using for this broadcast and all this other stuff. I had another computer wired up to a capture card for kind of dual PC streaming type stuff. That computer was laying on its side on the bottom shelf of this thing, and it stuck out a little bit. And since it stuck out a little bit, the baby could climb on top of it and use it to get up on top of this glass thing and stand there and slap the TV and stand and go hot, ooh, hot, as she slapped the TV. And I don't like it when...
Let's get over here. Everybody's pissed as fuck for some reason.